Billiken fans, welcome back. I'm Zach Miller.
And I'm Peter Hale.
This is the Midtown Madness Podcast. Before we get going, thank you all so much for listening. And if you're watching on YouTube, of course, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. It's that little thumbs up icon down below. I had someone ask me, I had to explain how you did that on the YouTube to somebody this weekend. So I wanted to give a little extra. Billiken fans, we got to talk about salsa. Look, we saw what happened at the end of the VCU game, and I got to tell you, you don't have to fight with your family over the salsa. You can always, or you can afford to order that extra jar of salsa when you get free shipping. If you forget the salsa at the grocery store, of course. And you can do that by using the QR code down below. Head over to twomeninthegarden.com, enter the code MMP, and get all the salsa you want shipped completely free. They are the St. Louis Salsa Pickle Company. They bring you everything from mild to screaming hot salsas, hot mango and sugar-free. They've got something for everyone, including pickles from classic dill to smoky barbecue. Kids love these things. Both of us can attest that kids in our life both adore Two Men in a Garden. That sounded crazy. Visit them online at twomeninthegarden.com to shop your favorite flavors and learn more about Kitchen Hub STL. Don't forget to follow them on social media as well at Two Men Salsa on Instagram and Twitter for the latest updates. We nailed that intro, Pete. We had to switch that up. I wanted to try something new today. We nailed it.
We did. I felt like I was doing news or something like that, introducing myself.
Yeah, like we're on NPR.
In stride.
Yeah. Pete, the good this week, men's basketball held the top spot in the A10 with a huge win over VCU at home on Friday. And they followed it up with beating their ass in a fight with 1.1 seconds to go. No, I'm kidding. Actually, really all SLU did was hold everybody back besides a shove. The bad side of things, Pete, the 18-game win streak, it comes to an end at Rhode Island. Women's basketball has now lost 8 straight and is in complete free fall. And the Diamond Billikens had a very tough week on the road down south. What are we doing here, Pete? What are we doing here?
It's another one, Zach, that's not us, and we're happy to watch from the sidelines. If you have some time on your hands and an appetite for absolute nonsense, Dayton basketball Twitter has been out of control lately between the civil war over how to handle Anthony Grant and the emergence of one of the sleaziest characters ever to grace the larger A10 Twitter radar. We will get into it a little bit with our guest later when we preview the Dayton game, but luckily for you guys, we're not going to get in depth on that, and we'll leave it there.
Every time I get an inkling to jump into the muck, I remember the line from Angels in the Outfield where the Knox and the pitcher are fighting, and the Blue Jays run out on the field, and the coach is like, "Hey, it's not our fight." I have that play in my head.
It's not our fight. That's a line you like. It's a line you've used before.
Before we get going and get into talking Billiken basketball, we need to start by sending our condolences to friends of the show and friends of both of us for a long time. Just being around Billiken basketball, the Schumann family on the passing of their mother, Mary, who passed away, I believe, Monday night. So just tough news. We love the Schumanns, Pete.
Yeah, the Shoes, as you may know them, are good people. Kevin, Steve. If you don't know them personally, I guarantee you've seen their faces around Chaffetz or Scott Trade Center or many of its other names before that. They've been around a long time. Good, solid SLU Billiken fan family, and yeah, you're right, Zach. We wish them all of our condolences.
Pete, I want to start off though. I know we're going to talk men's basketball, but the St. Louis men's basketball is not the only first place team in St. Louis. The St. Louis Ambush are in first place in the MASL for the first time since they returned to action in 2013. And up until this past game, some bummer news. They lost Robbie Cristo, Billiken alumni, who's been leading that team this season. But they are in first place. And I mean, I led by a Billiken.
It's pretty cool to see his name, like in our timeline, because Rockio does those games.
Yes.
So you always get a little bit of a blast from the past feeling, but at the same time, you're kind of like, oh wow, yeah, they're actually pretty good this season. That's cool. Yeah. So go catch them if you can.
Yep. Billiken basketball down to brass tacks. SLU was ranked 18th this week in the polls.
Yeah, no movement from the previous week, which is fine. They were also number 19 in the coaches poll again. No change there. Now, will those rankings hold? Probably not, but a lot of ranked teams lost this week, Zach. So I think this week is actually tougher to predict than any other so far this season, certainly as long as we've been in the rankings. And then the net ranking, which is, debatable over how much it actually matters for the actual seeding of the NCAA tournament. But SLU is sitting at number 22 right now, and that includes all the games this week. That's as of Sunday. So it's got both of our results, and that's pretty good that, even after taking a loss, we didn't really fall.
Let's start. Should we start with the good or the bad this week?
I think we got to start with the good, Zach, because
it was that good. It was that good.
I think the end of this game is what seals it. This is what people want to talk about.
Yes, it is. 88-75 win at VCU, or not at VCU, at Chaffetz Arena against VCU, Friday the 20th. Pete, this game got weird.
It got weird, Zach. I have to be honest. I had a lot of scenarios in my head for this game and how it would play out. And that's normally a sign of me being nervous because I'm doing that again for this Dayton game coming up. But none of my scenarios that I envision ended in a benches clearing brawl. And I guess shame on me for lack of imagination, right? Because we've seen strange things happen against VCU in Chaffetz Arena in the very, very recent past as well.
Yeah, we got to talk about it first. Obviously, it'll give the people what they want. But I think it's important to preface by pointing out that just before this possession, VCU, with the shot clock off, stole the ball from Avila, who took in a rebound, and then turned around, made a 3-point shot right away. Yeah. So they're signaling to SLU that we're going to protect the ball is essentially what is signaled to the Billikens at that point, correct?
Yeah, I think so. And it happened so fast. It was funny on the ESPN broadcast, ESPN2. Wait, no, ESPN Plus, right?
What? No, it was regular. It was ESPN. It was Friday 10.
Friday 10. So on the broadcast, that 3-pointer, it didn't hit the score bug for a long time. Yeah, it just sat.
Yes, it didn't because I saw a tweet later that was like, yeah, you lose by whatever, you deserve to get whatever. And they're like, oh, they actually won by 13 at the end or something like that. But it was 19 versus 13. I was like, there's a lot of points missing. And that's when I realized that it hadn't hit the score bug yet.
Yeah, and it had hit the box score, which I had open as I was watching the game, but I had turned away to start typing something, in the notes as I always do, or on Twitter or whatever, just because it's okay, we're bringing it up the floor, we're dribbling out the clock. I wasn't looking for something like that, and it happened so fast, and it didn't get put on the score, and it was kind of weird. So that's what was going through my head as the rest of this nonsense started, was okay, wait, when are they going to put that 3 up? He hit a 3, right? It happened so fast, and I had seen it on the box score. So I was trying to sort all that out mentally when the rest of this happened, Zach.
Yeah, I don't necessarily. I kind of blacked out these moments. I really do. I think rewatching them on video,
yes,
really it taints my memory of it.
Sure.
I don't trust what I actually saw in person anymore, and that's weird. I don't know what, not in a bad way. I just can't now remember exactly how I saw it the first time, right? Or whether I even noticed it right away. But essentially what you have here is to me, it looks like Quentin Jones is dribbling the ball across half court. He's now had two players reach out and try to grab the ball. And he's, by the commentary, TV commentary table. He does move forward, but he moves forward to talk a little shit, right? I think Quentin Jones moves towards him, but slowly. It's certainly not advancing the ball to the hoop, right? He's still just mulling around. And as Nick Lewis and Brandon Jennings get closer to him, whether or not Q made the push towards him or they came towards him, it doesn't matter to me at all. There was a lot of chatter, talking shit. And then Jones, it was like, get off me. It was a shrug, like in a street. Like if you watch a 1v1 game in like a TV or a movie, it's that first little, the defender's all up on him. He's like, bro, get off me. But it's like nothing.
When you're zoomed out on this situation, it's, Jones is slowly moving forward, slowly drifting more toward the center of the court, closer to the baseline, right? It's not like he's going to make a break for the basket, but he's moving in that general direction very slowly. But Lewis and Jennings are also moving toward him. Yep. They're not standing still either. They're coming in. Jones is clearly talking, a little trash in their way, right? So there's obviously a lot of that chatter happening when Jones gives them a little kind of forearm bump.
Yeah, protect the ball.
That's right. And it's important to say the ref is right there. The ref is right there, point blank, 6 feet away, looking at both of them. And when Jones gives him the little shove, the ref doesn't call a foul, but he steps forward and just says, hey, knock it off. You could see the ref take a step forward and tell them to knock it off. And that's right at the moment when Dion Brown, Zach, comes over and tries to kind of just step in between them and be like, hey, dribble it out. It's fine. Because at this point, there's under 6 seconds left.
The lesson we learn here is don't be a good Samaritan.
Yeah. Yeah, that's don't get in the middle. Yeah, because as we'll find out, Dion paid for that. But you said this was just a basketball play, right, Zach?
Yeah, it's silly. It's a basketball play. He's just get off me. Come on, man. You would see it on any play on the first, the guy who bodies up the point guard.
Yeah.
You see it all the time.
All game long, especially in this game.
And so, again, they had stolen the ball from Avila a minute ago. So, are they going to try to steal it again? And again, they were proven right that VCU was going to try to steal the ball.
Yeah. Yeah, because Lewis then, you've got Dion Brown kind of standing in between Jones and the VCU players. Well, really Jones and Jennings. So Lewis then comes around the backside and he steals the ball. He reaches for the ball with about 3 seconds left. It bounces off the ref's chest, right? It may have gone out of bounds, but it bounces.
It would have gone out of bounds if it had not hit the ref.
Yeah, so it's heading toward the sideline. They're a few feet away from the sideline. It hits off the ref, comes back into play right to Lewis. Lewis starts darting the other direction with the ball, right? Now, keep in mind, there are now fewer than 3 seconds on the clock as he is about to cross half court the other direction. And then Avila, who was kind of behind Jones, out kind of by the center circle, comes over and just, it's a really light bump. It's one that in real time, I thought, oh, Avila just hip checked a dude into the stands. Yeah. And then when you get the replays and other angles of it, Avila barely
cuts him off. He's just cutting him off at the sideline.
Just to be like, hey, stop.
This is a play. Again, look, Lewis steals the ball. 3 seconds off. Silly, stupid, dumb, but a fair basketball play. At this point, we are playing to the whistle. We are playing to the buzzer. This is what you by stealing the ball, you have now indicated you are playing to the buzzer. He starts going to the basket again, playing to the buzzer. Avila, what you do when you are beaten, going on the sideline on a fast break, you body the guy, you get a foul. Did Avila get his hands down low like this? And maybe yes, again, but it's a professional foul, to borrow a soccer adage.
Yeah.
And like it's just playing the game. That's just playing the game.
And so what is Lou? Go ahead.
And Lewis just, I mean, he throws himself into the stands and also throws the ball up towards the rim. So foul is called. Again, fair. Everything has been adjudicated correctly to this point.
Correct.
By the official. Then Lewis gets back up and everything's, and if you want to figure out where this fight started or when this fight started, go look at the benches. Nobody moves when after the Robbie foul. Whistles blown, fouls called on Robbie. Nobody leaves the bench. Then Barry Evans, the crotch grabbing Barry Evans, comes in and shoves Dion Brown. Again, good Samaritan, Dion Brown, good guy Dion.
Who after the Avila foul, so Avila gets called for the foul and starts walking away. And Brown runs over as Lewis is getting up, and Brown just puts his hands up like this. Like, what are you doing? You know, like he's just getting in the middle, throws his hands up. He's not like touching anyone. He's not going to fight anyone. And he's hit from behind, like arms up, facing toward Lewis, who was getting up in the front row. And so completely blindsided by Evans, who hits him as hard as you can push someone. I mean, he absolutely like car crash whiplash.
Yes, yes. And look, I don't want to be hyperbolic, but that is dangerous in that, like, again, like you said, whiplash, concussion, and then Dion goes flying into the crowd.
Yeah, and luckily,
there's chairs, there's knees. If his head hits the wrong way, this could have been fucking horrible.
Luckily there's a guy right there in the front row who he like Brown kind of goes into him instead of like hitting his head on a chair or something like that.
Yes.
Luckily that guy's standing right there. I mean, you're right. It could have been like really...
you're catching a manslaughter charge in a hot minute. Like you're some bad luck away from, well, first of all, your actions are dog shit, but you're still an ounce of bad luck from catching a manslaughter charge.
I think it's also worth mentioning that Dion Brown had a back injury that he'd been playing through. So he's just to the point where, and Stu Durando, credit to Stu for making this point, but like this game is just him getting back to like 100% of playing through back pain. And what happens, but somebody on the other team blindsides him and crushes his back with a second left on the clock.
That was like that's like Wolf the Dentist Stanson hitting Gordon Bombay's knee while playing 1-on-1 in D2. That's what that is. That's cheap shot bullshit.
So then Quentin Jones immediately comes up and shoves Evans from behind in retaliation. At least this, like, Evans hit he pushed Jones so much, or sorry, he pushed Brown so much harder than Jones pushed him.
Yeah.
And Jones actually had, you could say what you want about retaliation, and I know, that you're not supposed to do it. He at least had a reason for doing it.
Yes.
He didn't happen to push the guy who's just standing there, right? Like, he had a reason he was like defending his teammate. So there was at least an ethic to it.
By Barry Evans, it's like I don't even know how to compare it to anything. He literally just started a fight.
Yeah.
For no reason. He just decided, it's like just standing in a crowd and just turning and hitting somebody. That's literally what Barry Evans did.
Yeah, he ran up and was just like, give me somebody to hit.
Somebody hit somebody.
Yeah, he's in Woodstock 99 mental space there. I don't know what he's doing.
By Limp Bizkit.
And then he gets up, turns around to come after Jones, and then this ref, Zach, literally grabs him from behind, bear hugs him, lifts him into the air. and is like carrying him for a few seconds.
It was pro wrestling-esque. He was looking for a turnbuckle to drop him in.
It was insanity. It was just pure insanity. Avila got between Jones and the VCU players running in. Jones spun away, then started to make sort of make his way back. But by this time, by the time anyone could kind of come back together, because Jones was pretty fired up at this point, both benches had completely cleared. Everyone was getting in between the guys who were on the floor. Seemed like kind of coaches and managers first, but even the players, the bench players who came in, they're all just trying to keep things from.
That's what I saw. That's what I saw is like everybody who came in from the bench didn't like fight. It was almost like everybody came out to create like you said, a barrier.
Right, yeah. They're all going stop. Because these are two teams playing with a lot to lose. You know what I mean? Like these, like one's playing for their tournament life, the other one's playing for a tournament seed. These are teams who, this is not LaSalle and Loyola right now. Like these are two teams with a lot to lose. So those benches knew it.
The line of the night, though, to kind of quantify or qualify that, was Shirt saying everybody just milled around and did what the general basketball fighting does, which is everybody's trying to get held back so they don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
Well, exactly what is he? Right. Was that also a Mighty Ducks Goldberg? Well, hold me back like I'm going to kill him.
He also, I thought it was funny because they were like, the entire, because everybody was ejected except for Otieno and McCautry, and he was like, they mentioned Holmes and his son Jaden, and he was like, Holmes and Jaden, he's like, there's no way they cleared the bench, they're too lazy. And he goes, yes. Well, Jaden's too small and Isaac's too lazy. They're not going to go all the way across the court for this. They're just not going to do it.
It was just unbelievable. I want to pull up the box score here, but I thought it was funny. One of the funnier things I saw was Nick Lewis when he decided he wasn't faking an injury anymore, got up and you could see him by the TV table, and he was behind enemy lines to where like if he wanted to like basically just blindside somebody from behind, like his compatriot, he could have, but he just like circles around the flank and just gets in behind everybody. It's like it's just it's a very funny moment.
And then makes his way to the free throw line, because what all comes out of this is Avila gets the initial foul, just a common foul, and Lewis was granted 3 free throws because he decides to heave it as he's falling out of bounds.
But it took a hot minute to get to that point.
It took a hot minute to get to that point, and a lot of people were confused, right? Because they're like, okay, he's shooting these fouls with nobody on the nobody's there to rebound. There's like 1 second left. So it was really confusing because you're like, okay, he's going to shoot 2 and then Slew's going to shoot 2, but no. So what happened was like Evans got a flagrant 2. He's ejected. Jones got a flagrant 2, also ejected. Those offset, no free throws for either.
No, was he ejected? Was Jones ejected?
He was.
Okay. Cause so we had to sub somebody in.
Shirts did not think he was, but he actually was.
Was he on the court at the end? No, he was the first one to leave. He let him off, which was funny.
I mean, but there was 1 second left, right? So at the end, he hits the free throw, Slew inbounds the ball, and it's over. Right. So like even if we've got 4 guys on the floor at that point, because the whole bench was thrown out, it doesn't matter.
But I think what bummed me out the most is that, like you said, Evans got a flagrant 2, was ejected. Jones got a flagrant 2, was also ejected. There was not like some sort of ledger of the ejections of each individual player that got ejected. Like I really wanted like a booking list.
Yeah.
So what I want to do, and this is why I was looking up the box score, is I want to read off the ejections in this game. Okay. I just want to read it like it's a list of, I don't know, whatever. So where are we at here? Hold on. We got Wait. Oh, they don't. Oh, I would have to look at their roster. Dang it, this isn't gonna work because they
No, it's not going to work.
Basketball
They didn't.
Reference only shows the three players.
Yes, correct.
God dang it.
Every box score only shows Jones, Evans, and then Avila,
Okay.
you know, and Lewis's
So
free throws. The last three plays in the box score. Well, there's a lot of all with 1 second left. Right, you
yes.
get turnover by Quentin Jones, steal by Nick Lewis, foul by Robbie Avila, 3 free throws good by Nick Lewis. He hit them all. Foul by Barry Evans, foul by Quentin Jones, turnover by Quentin Jones is all listed with 1 second on the box score published on SLU's site. That's not all exactly right in terms of timing, but that's how they registered it. Is they chalked all that up to the final second,
So I'm
and
gonna
then
try.
they don't list the bench ejections.
Right. I'm gonna try. So Keyshawn Mitchell ejected. Christian Furman, if he was in the building, ejected.
He didn't even play.
Yeah. Lazar Djokovic, not ejected. Tyrell Ward ejected. Jordan Tillery ejected. Jordan Dumas ejected. Michael Bell ejected. Obinia Okafor ejected. Barry Evans ejected. Ahmad Noel ejected. For the Billikens, it was Kellen Thames ejected. Quentin Jones ejected. Badara Diakite ejected. Jaden Shirts ejected. Kalu Anya ejected. Brady Dunlap ejected. Isaac Holmes ejected. Luke Lachkowski ejected. Jax Kerr ejected. Cam Hudson ejected. And Amari McCautry wasn't paying attention, which is a perfect damn gateway to the fact that I think that McCautry has attention issues.
You think?
Like, I think he doesn't lock in. That's my biggest problem with Amari. I think he's aloof. He's an aloof player, and I'm pointing to this moment as my proof.
That's funny. You know, the other player who didn't get ejected was Otieno because he already had 5 fouls. Yeah.
So he got. Hey, did you see he slipped? He slipped too, trying to get there.
Did he? I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, that's also why he wasn't like on the ejection list. Yeah. Because he didn't leave the bench because he slipped. But there was confusion. I got to be Cliff Clavin for a hot minute though in Chaffetz Arena. I had to explain why the people were like, why they all got it, like this was going to be weird because like the entire bench is going to get ejected. I don't know if how many players are even going to be left on the floor at the end of the game, or whether there would be suspensions for leaving the bench. Can you imagine if there were suspensions and you had to? It'd be McCautry and Otieno would be our bench players against Dayton.
Except no, they wouldn't be the bench players because Jones would have been suspended too.
Yeah.
So we would have had one bench player.
We would have Otieno.
Yes,
that would have been a nightmare.
Yeah, it would have been. But luckily, Zach, there were no suspensions, just fines for each program. The A10 statement was as follows. The Atlantic 10 Conference issued the following statement following the end of the February 20th VCU St. Louis game. The Atlantic 10 has issued reprimands to both the St. Louis and VCU for violating sportsmanship policies in the A10 Code of Conduct during the incident at the conclusion of the Friday night game. Additionally, both programs will be fined according to conference policy. There will be no conference-issued suspensions as the officials adjudicated the incident within the prescribed rules of the game in exemplary fashion. This was an unfortunate end to a great college basketball game between two of the best teams in the nation. The A10 considers the matter closed and looks forward to the remainder of the regular season at the Atlantic 10 Championship in Pittsburgh in March.
Did you know they gave Bernadette McGlade a little Billiken statue at halftime?
I did not know that. No.
They did.
Wow. That's a little weird.
It is weird. I find her proximity to Sandwich University athletics weird. Yeah, it's super interesting.
Now, do you think anyone should have been suspended, Zach?
Barry Evans. He's the only one that really had no reason to do what he did.
Yeah, and the thing about it, I mean, I would agree that he was the most severe violator of anything here, but the thing about it I worry about is that had he been suspended, they also would have felt like they had to suspend Jones, right?
Yeah.
Because he did the same thing, not as severely, and to someone who quote unquote deserved it. But retaliation, they hate retaliation. So if him not being suspended means Jones is not suspended, I'll take it because I want Jones, in Dayton on Tuesday.
I think they should bar the Billikens from the Atlantic 10 tournament so that we can't lose in Pittsburgh. And then that's how they really game
That's
the
funny.
system.
That's funny.
I think they should end our season now before the NCAA. I think we should just play exhibitions
Save our
that
record.
don't. Yeah, exactly.
Exhibitions.
Yeah, we could play against like the national development team or some shit. I don't know. Lindenwood played an outdoor game against that hockey. Lindenwood hockey did. That's
There you
interesting.
go.
To a bottom line of like what happened, in my opinion, is that Nick Lewis sold the Robbie foul as flagrant. Evans bought it hook, line, and sinker and attacked the
Yeah.
player who wasn't even involved, and that is
Yeah.
what started the fight.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that's right. That I think is kind of an under analyzed part of all of this is I think Lewis really, really sold that foul. Like he jumped into the stands. And I think that's what Dion Brown was reacting to when he ran over and went like this. It was like, come on, man, let's just go home. What are you doing?
I think before we move on, though, I think we really do need to acknowledge the crowd during this. From front row, from the big donor seats to students to the normies, I thought everyone behaved themselves really, really well. Courtside seats all remained passive bystanders in the scenario. Very easy for them to jump in the middle. A lot of just, I think out of just kind of, hey, oh my God, there's a fight. We need to stop this. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I thought everyone did really well. Nothing was thrown on the court. And of course, having players thrown into your laps it makes it difficult to stay out of it. Also love the guy caught on hot mic calling VCU a bunch of bums. That guy was the low key star of the show.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really funny. My kids loved that when I was like playing the replay, and you could just hear VCU are bums. They're a bunch of bums. I was kind of nervous as that was happening live because I was like, oh, if somebody says something worse, it's gonna get picked up. And there was at least one F-bomb.
Did they throw a P word out there? I think I heard a bunch of kitties.
Oh, I didn't hear. I don't know if I heard that or not. I'd have to go back and watch it again. I did hear one 4-letter word on the broadcast.
That was me.
But otherwise, the bunch of bums was really funny.
Reddit loved it. Twitter loved it.
The way he delivered it was really, really funny.
You're a real crumb bum. By the way,
well, Zach,
before we move on, I got to shout out the guy who I'm walking to my car at Concord Veta, and a guy with his window rolled down. Hey, Midtown Madness. I was like, me? I just started giggling. I really didn't know what to say, so I apologize if I came off as not paying attention. But I just was really caught off guard.
Then you got in your car and drove 95 miles home as you were just floating.
Let's get to this game. It did not start well, Pete.
Yeah, a bit of an understatement there, Zach.
I had my head in my hands for 25 minutes of this game.
Yeah, maybe even a little longer. Although I think, yeah, you're right. 5-10 minutes into the second half is when it started to look a little like, okay, we've actually got a competitive game here. We've got a shot. But this was SLU's fifth bad first half in a row. That's 6 in the last 7 games. It's 7 in the last 9 games. It's a troubling trend, Zach, I would say.
Troubling trend it is, Pete. I talked about it a little bit in our interview with Drew Westerheide.
Yeah.
Or did I talk about it with that? I mean, you know what? I might have talked about it with both of them. I did. And I think that what's really going on with these first halves is you've got a Billiken team. They all started when the Billikens became ranked, right? I mean, maybe the Dayton game was we were ranked for Dayton. So we ranked for Dayton.
I you're
I don't
asking
know.
me in real time.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. The other teams, they come in, they are ready to go from the jump. This is a big time game for them. Every game is big for us, but it is a big time game for the opponent. And I think they are locked in, they are focused, and they are sticking to their game plan. Meanwhile, the Billikens, I think essentially what happens is the Billikens are playing their game. The other team's just playing better than they should probably. And so you get to halftime, you change ends. Now you're defending away from your bench. So the Billiken offense, randomness, the depth, the scoring options, they all finally come full circle, and the Billikens explode in the second half. That's really what I think's going on. I don't know if it's. I said it's worrying. It doesn't make me feel good, but I think there's a plausible explanation here, and that's what I just laid out for you.
Yeah, and to go back and answer your previous question, we were number 21 when that Dayton game happened.
So top again, took a minute, finally got, get down in the teens. Teams start really firing up for you, right?
Yeah.
So and of course that Dayton game, because it was a huge game, the Billikens were fired up for it, right?
Yeah.
There's shirts on the seats. It's SHIRTS, not ER. So I think it has a lot to do with what I laid out, is that the SLU is just going to get everybody's best shot in the first 20 minutes. Is that if that team's, it's very well that may not be good enough. Their best shot may not be good enough. But if it's good enough, you're going to have to wait till the second half to see the Billikens really pull away. Sometimes that means the Billikens will be down at halftime. I don't think it'll always be like that. I think more of the slow starts will be more like Loyola, where it was, the Billikens were still, we were up at halftime, right? Like it wasn't.
We were up 10 at Loyola at halftime.
Yeah,
it wasn't a good half, and we scored like 6 late points to
right again. Yeah. So, but that's kind of my point, is that I think you're going to see this every game. And but I don't think it's not panic button, but it's not great. It's not good.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I think, it comes down to, you're going to get everybody's best shot, but we'll get into some of Schertz's other comments later, but he had made some comments after the last couple of games, like the team has a tendency to sort of feel a game out, right? Like, and not come out 100% because he thinks they're kind of like, what's the vibe of this game? Like they're trying to read what's happening in the game before they flip that switch. And with Rhode Island, it never happened, but in other games it has. Like they've been able to power themselves to that win eventually, but he hates it. Like he said, it's on him as a coach to try and figure out how to stop this. But it certainly is. Yeah, I think it merits a lot of thought and discussion, and he's definitely aware of it and working on it. In this game in particular, his quotes on it were pretty common. We'll get to that in a minute. But VCU started the game, Zach, 11-0, which had me kind of shell shocked, and I think SLU kind of looked like it too. And then it was 42-33 at halftime. So they didn't expand on that margin, but they held a lead into the second half for about the first 9 minutes before SLU tied it on a McCautry layup at 57. But back to the first half, SLU went 3 of 13 from 3, turned it over 10 times, gave up 9 offensive rebounds. It felt like 90, and let VCU go 8 of 15 from 3 as they kind of struggled to guard the perimeter. It was kind of a perfect storm of a lot of things that, just could all go wrong for this team.
It gives me bad vibes when I see like teams come out of timeout, we come out of timeout, and we're pointing to where somebody should go, or you take the ball out. Like, isn't that what we talked about in the huddle?
Yeah, exactly.
Is that not decided in the huddle? I mean, if it's not, fine. But and that's where I got to the point that I think McCautry may be. It's what a guy that just kind of checks out. Sometimes he just kind of mentally checks out. I am that guy too. So, takes one to know one.
Game recognized game. Yeah.
Game recognized game.
I think the thing that bothered me. Oh, go ahead.
No, well, I just think they didn't know where people were supposed to be. There were dumb, really weird miscommunications. Like, nobody's going to toss the ball and pointing. So you go over there, like you go there, you pointing, like too much pointing. You see it in soccer, right? Or hockey on defense. If you're starting to point, it's bad. Bad news. Bad news if people are pointing.
People don't want to see you read the stage directions. They want to see you just perform. Right?
Yes.
I mean, that's
there's not enough communication if you're pointing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's supposed to be ironed out in practice. The rebounding issues, I think, are what bothered me the most because they continued into the second half. The shooting eventually came around. SLU went 7 of 12 from 3 in the second half to give them a respectable 10 of 25, 40% performance for the game. I'll take it. But they still gave up another 9 offensive rebounds in the second half, and VCU won second chance points, 19 to 12 over the whole game. Total rebounds ended up 42-42, which was only possible because VCU couldn't buy a bucket in the second half. 7 of 31 overall, 1 of 14 from 3, which is crazy for the second half. Shirts was interesting on this game though, right? Because as much as you and I and everyone else is like, what's going on with these first halves, he actually chalked a lot of it up to shot variance. He thought that played a huge role. He didn't actually think SLU was as bad as we did in the first half.
What does that mean?
He was more concerned about the rebounding than anything else. Shot variance meaning you've done your part. Now it's the other team, is the shot going in or not? So Rhode Island, for example, against us couldn't miss, right? That's high shot variance for a team that shoots coming into that game just barely over 31% for the season. VCU, he thought, except for a couple occasions where somebody really lost their man, he didn't think it was our fault that they hit as many threes as they did in the first half. He thought, they just happened to be making more shots than expected. And then in the second half, he thought, just like the first half, there were a few where they were wide open and they just missed them in the second half. They only made 1. So that he just chalked both halves from the perimeter for them really up to shot variance. He thought we did okay defensively from there. So I thought that was really interesting. But Zach, I think our buddy Gaines called it because at one point, and he tweeted in the second half, I will say one optimistic thing: VCU looks tired, and there's 12 minutes left. Can SLU take advantage? This is when SLU was down 57-51. And as I kind of spoiled a couple minutes ago, we already know they tied it at 57, eventually took the lead and never gave it up from there.
It's interesting, and Gaines is right. I talked to him at halftime. I don't remember what we said. I'm sorry. But it's been interesting to be much more aware of Billiken opponents looking worn out this season. Like, I think there's multiple times where we've tweeted out, so-and-so looks exhausted out there. And I didn't notice it in this one, though, but I think, again, it's part of the what I talked about earlier about the first half or second half. Again, that fatigue sets in, that tiredness. You don't have your coaches right next to you, yelling out assignments, yelling out help, and you have to follow a Billiken offense that's predicated on randomness. So you have, like, can you stay locked in through that last 20 minutes, and or will SLU shoot themselves out of it in the last 20 minutes, right? That's the only way you're going to lose, or that's the only way you're going to beat SLU, is can you stay locked in on defense for 40 minutes? Or is SLU going to shoot themselves in the foot?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
And
Yeah,
and you saw two versions of that this week.
yeah, I think that's right. And I think this was the point too where, I was starting to I was trying to craft the thought when I saw his tweet, because for me it was like, okay, the vibe of this game has shifted. VCU is slowing down. Like clearly Slew's depth is getting to them. He just tweets, they're tired. They look tired. And it's like, okay, that's a way more concise way of saying whatever I was trying to kind of put together here. So they were definitely looking tired, and it would get worse from there. Dead legs on their shots the rest of the way. Offensive rebounding completely dried up. Slew went on a big run. We were waiting for that in Rhode Island. It never came. 20-2 at one point, which I think included a 13-0 kill shot. And I believe it was a 33-9 run to finish the game overall. VCU actually scored those last 6 points, as we said, because of that three and then those free throws, because of all the nonsense at the end of the game. But
That's insane.
Slew led by 19, which was the highest margin of the game going into that final, 20 seconds or whatever, whenever all of that stupid stuff happened. So the score was ultimately closer than it should have been. But yeah, that's that. We've already discussed what all went down at the end of the game. And it's funny to think, Zach, that 3-pointer was the only one they hit in the second half.
Would you believe if I said VCU message board was very upset with the officiating in this one?
Oh, I would absolutely believe it, because I saw some comments on Twitter and it was just like, what game are you watching? Like literally, what could you possibly be seeing? Because if I go into a ranked team's gym, they shoot 19 free throws and my team shoots 32, I'm not saying a word about the refs. Not a word, right? Like it's insanity to me. It's like VCU clearly from the start of the game was playing a more physical approach. Like they just were. We've seen teams do this time and time again to Slew once they realized that was the way to get to us, right? So they're playing more physically. They're testing the refs. Classic Patino move. They're testing the refs, and they wind up with 5 fewer fouls than a ranked team on the road. You're playing in their gym. Yeah, let's go ahead and adjudicate this one. I don't think you're going to win. I'm sorry. Like I just that's a really fortunate variance. So
the only home cooking we got was 2 of our players weren't ejected.
That's right. And according to you, it's because one of them wasn't paying attention, and the other one just happened to already be ejected.
Yes,
because he had so many fouls at home. Because yeah. So yeah, that's I do believe it, because I the guy who we had on for VCU before was George.
Yeah,
George was
George is awesome, by the way.
He's great, but there were a few fouls where he was really complaining, and I was kind of like, George, your strategy is working. Why are you complaining about this? Like, if they missed a few fouls on Slew, that's fine, because I guarantee you, man, like there have been a few the other way, and you guys are overall benefiting from all of the contact here. But anyway, yeah.
Billikens had 5 guys in double digits. Thames was the leading scorer with 16 points, 7 of 8 shooting, 2 of 4 from the free throw line. I'm going to ignore the 2 of 4 from the free throw line. What a game. Kellen Thames is back, baby.
We have been waiting and waiting for this bounce back game, right? He's been really quiet lately. People wondering about his health, people wondering about his mental state, like is he, has he kind of got the jitters here? What's going on? Game high 5 steals. And it felt like, like I remember every single one of them. They were huge. 4 rebounds, a block, and 3 turnovers. The 3 turnovers were all in the first half, when he didn't play quite as well. But in the second half, he really turned it on. He was plus 20 for the game, which was second best on the team in just 17 minutes. And he was attacking in transition. He was going downhill to score. It was all of the things that made him so valuable in non-conference in the early part of the A10 that we've kind of gotten away from in more recent games.
You know what my favorite part of his game was? Was that he spurred on the run that we had, where we really got back in the game with a mid-range pull-up, a turnaround in the mid-range.
Yeah,
That's what spurred the run. Was it to like
that's
he spun in the mid range and made a basket.
he's running laps for that today.
Yes, that was beautiful to me. I loved the just like okay, we still can do that. We can do that.
Yeah,
Don't think we can't do that because we can do that. Like that's what I want out of a mid range. Like I want I want to remind teams that we can do it. We're just not going to because we're better than you.
yeah,
We don't need to.
there's that whole thing, but at the same time, this bounce back game also got me to thinking, Zach, because it really mostly came in the second half. All of these bad first halves we've had lately, like I said, I think it's seven of the last 9 games, and it's been 5 in a row. Is when it's kind of coincided with Thames's drop off in production,
Mm-hmm.
and Schertz had a quote after the game that was like, McCautry and Thames are the two guys who, when they play well, we play well. Like they're the biggest.
They
I guess
open everything up. They open everything up.
I'm trying to think of the way he worded it. It was like they push variance or something like that in a way that, like, Jones and Avila and Green and Brown, they're a little more consistent from game to game. So if you don't have Thames playing well, if you don't have McCautry playing well, the team is performing a lot worse overall. And so I think if that second half, if this game was really a bounce back game for Thames, that to me is a huge, huge variable for Dayton. Because if he
Mm-hmm.
comes out and has a good first half, I think overall our team could look a lot better than we have in first halves lately, because we just have not had a good Kellen Thames in a while.
I think it's iffy too because I wouldn't mind seeing Kellen Thames start. Give me that energy from the jump. Give me his defense. Give me his ability to break down the other team so that we can, if we have a little issue with maybe, we miss a first 3 of the game, right? Let's
Yeah.
give it to Thames. Let's get him to the basket, or let's see if he can open some doors for somebody else driving to the hoop. But again, minutes restriction. Do you want to use him early in the game like that?
I think his last really big game before this one was the Dayton game. And I think, is that the one where he played 24 minutes? I could, now that I'm saying it,
No, there's no way. Because, that game was out of hand.
no, yeah, you're right. You're right. It was a different game where he had that 24-minute game and
Might
gave us
have
a huge
been,
performance. But then after that, he didn't play. He
was
did.
it Davidson?
I'm pulling it up right now. It was George Washington.
Okay.
So that was the game where he gave us 24 minutes and scored 15.
Brought
And
us
then
all the way back.
since then, he hasn't played more than 17 minutes. So that Dayton game, sorry, I was off by 1. The Dayton game was the first game where his production kind of dropped off. So it wasn't since George Washington that he had scored double digits. And this is a guy that had scored double digits, I think 10 times before that George Washington game. So I really think as Thames goes, so goes the team. And if we have a good Kellen Thames, disrupting things with steals, grabbing rebounds, finishing at the rim at Dayton in the first half, I'm going to feel a lot better about our chances at Dayton.
Yes. People were hard on Avila
Yeah.
most of this game. Which would it surprise you if I did not mind Avila's game in this one? I didn't. I thought he was fine.
It would actually.
Yeah, I thought he was
but
fine. I thought there was a lot more to worry about.
I felt like this was a game where it was a Friday night game and there weren't a whole lot of other games on at the time. And it was a national game and everything. So I think a lot of neutral people are always looking for Avila because he's like, they know who he is and he's a really unorthodox player. And so a lot of people who we don't normally hear from were kind of ripping on him a little bit. And then some SLU fans, I think, were kind of looking at the box score and going, yeah, what's up? He's not really producing a lot today. But again, I think you and I kind of recognize by now system monster, right? He's still finding ways to make everything work.
Yeah, he had 13 points, and he was key in the finish of the game. 5 of 8 overall. 2 of 4 from 3, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, a block, and a steal. His minutes with Otieno were probably the biggest of the game when Shirts went with 2 bigs, which is a big time divergence from his from kind of the normal MO. Avalos +7 in 28 minutes. He did struggle defensively in the first half, and he was not effective. Like, he was in the first half last year, I would have shit a brick.
Yeah. It was Djokovic. Shirts called it out. He said Djokovic is a bad matchup for Rob. He just is. So they put in the second half, they put Otieno on him, who he racked up fouls, but he still did his job. And then they put McCautry on him as well. And the whole idea there was have 2 guys who are maybe a little more athletic, who can stay with Djokovic, take him out to go out to the perimeter, force him to drive rather than shoot threes. And that's what they did in the second half to kind of neutralize him. So it worked completely.
Amari McCautry also had 13, 6 of 13 from the field, 0 of 3 from beyond the arc, and 1 of 6 from the free throw line. He took a lot of heat early in this one. Look, I think for this team to make it to, Sweet 16, Elite 8, and yes, I think we can get there. I think McCautry and Thames are going to have to make free throws. This whole team are going to have to make free throws because they're, again, I'm a huge believer in losing games at the line. I think you can absolutely, if 25% of your missed free throws is the spread, you lost the game at the free throw line. Does that make sense?
Yep.
If you miss 8 free throws and you lost by 4 or 2, anything less than 50% of your missed free throws, you lost the game at the line, regardless of your expected shooting percentage, at least in my opinion.
And this is a thing that, I was a manager before Synergy, before Analytics Revolution, before any of that kind of stuff. The things we knew about the opposing players that you wanted, whoever was guarding those guys, that what you wanted in their heads, what do they shoot from 3? What do they shoot from the free throw line? Like who are the guys that we're more comfortable putting on the line, less comfortable? Who are the guys we need to guard out past the perimeter? Who are the guys we can sag off a bit? Those are the guys that, no matter who the coach is on the other team or how long he's been around or what system he runs, who are the guys in an NCAA tournament game who they're willing to put on the line down the stretch, if they're trying to make up a deficit or something like that, or keep you at bay. So it's absolutely something that they're going to be aware of. You're right. Those guys not only need to play well, they have to hit free throws or find a way not to get fouled.
Swish on Sharma. We had 3 13-point scores. This game on Friday the 13th, by the way.
It was not Friday the 13th, but
it was close.
It was a week after Friday the 13th.
Good enough. 4 of 6 from 3 with 4 rebounds and 3 assists. He hit some big shots. He was instrumental in the Billiken run. He led the team with plus 22 in 25 minutes. And I thought there were multiple plays where he got two attempts in one possession. The ball just, he made a play. He made a big play. And then it came back around to him. He hit the shot. He was awesome. I love him. The Gola boys asked me who I thought was the biggest surprise this season. And I 100% say Sharma. I think, at least him and Brady Dunlap to me didn't come in with any expectations, and I'll be damned. I mean, Brady Dunlap, I expected him to at least talk some shit. I didn't know what Sharma was going to do.
Yeah.
I knew nothing about Sharma other than he was a very good Canadian basketball player.
His passing, especially as the season has gotten on, so much better. Good. He's really trained himself to shoot on the move. A lot of the things he's just, you could see his improvement over the course of the season. And he has now, I think, really found a way to make shots when other guys are not making shots, or make shots that set off runs or in the course of a run. A lot of times lately when our kill shots are happening, Sharma's right there in the mix. Doesn't
He's
matter
the
what
guy.
kind of what kind of game he's had before or after, he is instrumental in our runs.
He's the guy you go to when nothing else is working right now.
Yeah.
At least from three. Otherwise, anything else you call Kellen Thames. Big Q, Quentin Jones scored 11 on 5 of 8 shooting with 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 turnovers. I love when Quentin Jones is finishing at the rim. Again, he's as good a player as anyone on this team.
Yeah, and we're unfortunately going to have to talk about a game where he had the opposite performance at the rim.
Oh my God, we still have to talk about that game. Should we just skip that game? Should we just give I genuinely think we should just, never mind, just keep going.
He kind of, there were a couple in this game where he tried to finish over the whole VCU team at the rim. I don't know why. Because if you're shooting,
he can.
If you are, I know it's one of those things where you're kind of on a break, but like you're still defended. And if you're taking a layup, right, over 1, 2, 3, and maybe a fourth defender nearby, it means all of your teammates are open. So stop, pull it out, and move the ball around. It was driving me crazy a couple times.
Yeah.
He and McCautry took a few of these where you're just like, guys, don't take contested layups if there's more than one defender at the rim.
We've got so many options.
We've got options. Like just turn around and there's going to be a shooter waiting for a ball. So that's something they have to coach out of these guys. Trey Green finished with 9 points on 3 of 6 shooting from outside. He spent most of the second half on the bench, probably for defensive reasons, Zach.
Yeah, that seems to be the going issue. And I mean, I think it was less of him in this one being the liability and more of we needed Otieno in the game with Robbie.
We went big.
Yeah. So unfortunately, Mighty Mouse has to. I think he looks like Mighty Mouse. I'm sorry.
It was it was a matchup benching it. It really wasn't, it's not personal, Trey. It was a matchup. Brady Dunlap also sat most of the second half, didn't score. He went 0 of 4 from 3, missed his only 2-point attempt, but he was on the floor for that big run and went plus 19 in 16 minutes. Schertz said he did so many things to touch winning that the average person wouldn't see. So I think we have to take his word for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think he is a wonderful distraction. He is a wonderful decoy. I mean, really, whoever's not making shots is a great decoy. You've got Sharma, you've got Green, you've got Dunlap, you've got Deion Brown, you've got Quentin Jones. All of them shoot threes well. Avila. I thought Brady Dunlap was a fantastic chess piece in this game. Deion Brown, 6 and 7, and in his first game back from a sore back, and maybe his last game back, maybe his last game without a sore back.
Yeah.
He was just a pest in this one. That's kind of that's the role he's drawn out for himself. Paul Otieno, I can't say much more about this guy. He did fall out with 7 and 8, but that kind of felt by design. He played great defense overall. He was physical. He was tough against Djokovic. Schertz praised him after the game.
Paul was awesome, he said. 5 offensive rebounds, the defense on Djokovic, the ability to switch and guard different positions, his rim protection. A couple of the threes we got are because he's sprinting the floor and sucking the defense to the rim, and we get spray threes. Paul does a lot of things that are invisible inside the game that drive winning. He's a winning player, made his free throws.
He did. Holy shit, he did. He was awesome.
Yep, he did. He and Brady combined to make one shot. I think Paul had one. Was it a dunk or a layup? But if you look at their impact in the game, you don't have to make a ton of shots to impact winning. Yep. The Schertz talked about him as much, if not more than anyone on the team, Zach. He was that good in this game.
Yeah, it's funny in retrospect because I thought the loudest the arena got was when he got the timeout call on the loose ball. Yeah, which is the loudest I've ever heard an arena cheer for a timeout.
Yeah.
A home timeout. Yeah.
Yeah.
The DJ then went on to play Turbulence, which he played it loud, but that crowd was matching the energy. I thought it was crazy. It was awesome. I loved it. The Billikens were really good on Terrence Hill and Jadrian Tracy.
They held Hill to 1 of 11 from the field, 0 of 7 from 3. Schertz said they did a great job guarding both him and Jadrian Tracy. Djokovic, though, he did have 19 points, 7 rebounds, 2 big blocks, and 5 turnovers. He's a tough matchup for Avila, so like we said before, McCautry and OTNO had to force him to drive in the second half. Brandon Jennings was the other big performer, 18 points, 7 rebounds, 4 steals, but luckily, Zach, no one else hit double digits. So I think overall, like what we see from this SLU team generally is maybe 1 or 2 guys hurt you a little bit, but they don't let many more, take advantage of them.
You talked ad nauseum about the fouls. The Billiken free throw shooting, though, was once again disappointing. We converted. We're not converting on the few attempts we do get at the line right now. But I do want to commend the crowd in this game because there was very little uneasy tension in the arena when we were missing free throws, and that is not normal. Usually there's a little angst when the Billikens aren't making free throws, especially when they're losing. Wasn't the case today or in that game. Myself, different story, complete mess. The crowd didn't feel like it panicked, and that's unusual. Obviously the first 3 quarters of this game, or first 25 minutes were really disappointing after that Rhode Island game.
I think so. We were looking for this team to come out and kind of make that statement, and it just didn't happen, Zach, because Rhode Island was such a letdown, and we'll kind of get into that in a second, but you wanted them to kind of really come out, protect their home court, make it clear from the start that they're going to sweep VCU for the season. It took a long time to get there, and it was a sellout crowd, right? So yes. I wanted them to be amped up and into it from the beginning, but instead we had to slowly get them on, amped up and excited and kind of prove like, hey, we started in a big 11-0 hole, but we could still pull this thing out. So a crowd of 10,223. They got better and better and better as the game went along.
That is the first 10,000 plus crowd since the home opener of Crew's first first terrible Cruise year.
Okay.
It was SIU Carbondale.
Gotcha.
It was 10K plus.
We didn't have a 10 earlier this season?
No, sorry, we missed it. It was under 10.
Gotcha. Okay.
Under 10.
All right. Well, yeah, I mean,
maybe wait, I may be wrong because I think that one was the first non-VCU or Dayton. So I think we've had. Yeah, never mind. Just strike everything I said. Forget it. It snapped a 10-game win streak for VCU. Also, 20 wins in a row at Chaffetz Arena, extending the record. If the Billikens beat Duquesne this week and Loyola next week, it will secure an undefeated season at home for the first time in Chaffetz history. I would hope both are sellouts, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, it's that last 15 minutes was as much as we could ask for, I guess.
Yeah, I think so, Zach. Yeah, I think it really was. We took command of a game that we played from behind for most of the game, and delivered for the home crowd. Got the crowd into it, and it was a symbiotic relationship, and took off from there. So it was great. But unfortunately, Zach, on Tuesday the 17th, 81-76 was the loss at Rhode Island. It was another bad first half, as we know by now.
Yeah, that 81-76 loss, as you mentioned. Another bad half.
Yeah, and we thought things would just turn around in the second half, and they didn't. I think, Zach, the most important, note of this game is just kind of like what went wrong. Like every other game this season, with the exception of that the Stanford collapse. We've been able to kind of dig our way out of it, but first off, it was Jonah Hinton, right? I mean, they just had a hot shooter. He tied a roadie program record, 9 made threes. He hit 7 in the first half. It was his first game back in the starting lineup. He missed several games with injury and then came off the bench for a little bit. He hadn't scored double digits since returning. So I have to admit, I did not see this coming at all. I thought he was still easing his way back in, but of course he's 100% apparently all of a sudden.
And then he, of course, goes 2 for 10 in the next game.
Unreal.
The second thing, the turnovers. The Billikens had 13 in the first half and 18 for the game. Look, the refs were awful. It's Rhode Island, put 2 and 2 together. We'll get to them later. Some of the officiating, was bad, but some of the bad decisions, lazy passes, bad passes, loose dribbling, all of it added up, and points off turnover were 28-14 in Rhode Island's favor. Third was the layups, Pete.
16 of 33 from 2, under 50%, which is horrible for this team. 14 of 30 on layup attempts. Quentin Jones himself was 2 of 10 from inside the arc, but everyone besides Dion Brown was pretty bad at the rim, honestly. Rhodey only had 2 blocks. They altered quite a few attempts, or honestly just got away with some fouls too.
Yep.
But Zach, in addition to the layups, the finishing at the rim, the 3-point shooting was bad too.
Yeah, it was bad. 38. No, it wasn't terrible, but 38.1%, certainly below average. The real problem was just the lack of attempts. 8 in the first half and 21 in the game. URI really wanted to run the Billikens off the perimeter and then basically disrupt everything at the rim with the big men. It's where the mid-range could have come into use. But that's just one idiot's opinion.
You want Shirts to drop his system, and hey, it would.
Whoa! Oh, you want to talk about not dropping systems? We're talking about a 20-point record. All right.
Fair enough. But the other factor here is, Rhode Island outshot their normal stats by a ton. They shot 85.2 from the free throw line, 71.8% for the season. They shot 41.4 from 3, normally a 31.2% shooter. So Hinton's obviously a big part of that stat. But SLU lost him quite a few times, especially in the beginning of the game. But Rhodey just shot better than they have all season. Again, shot variance. We talked about it in the VCU game. Front end, Zach, SLU had 3 front ends of 1-and-1s and missed all 3. It's not just 3 points you leave on the table. It's one more way they actually could have won the game. That entire margin of the game could have been made up, and they left it there. So that one was extremely frustrating.
The seventh, let's get right down to it. The officiating was truly terrible.
Yeah.
The Rams were as physical as possible against the Billikens in the lane, and they got away with much of it. The Billikens were they get called fouls for breathing on the Rams. The scouting report was the VCU havoc. Foul as many times as possible. They can't call them all.
Yep.
They were rewarded for it in the end. Only 4 guys really showed up in this one. We won't get really into it. What were the names of those 4 guys?
Yeah, Avila, I thought was pretty good in this game, 21 points. But it's not a perfect game for him, but still pretty good. Dion Brown, I think, had an argument as the best player for SLU, 19 points, 6 rebounds, missed a couple free throws, but
I think with Dion Brown, he's such an unorthodox player. I think this is the kind of game where he needs to assert himself more.
Yeah,
because it's an unorthodox game.
For the most point, he did. I just really thought, like, given the tenor of the game, he was the one who was going to put SLU on his back and carry him across the finish line, and he just didn't have quite enough support. McCautry had 4 turnovers. A few of them were painful, but he did score 10, had 5 rebounds, 5 assists, block, steal, came up short on a couple layup attempts, which I thought was weird, really bothered Shirts. And then Sharma, I think, was good enough to say he belonged in this column and showed up. 9 points, 3 of 7 from outside, couple assists. I know everyone's going to be thinking about that miss at the end. Right, he's going to be seeing that one in his nightmares. But it was a good shot for him. It very easily could have gone in and tied the game with like 15 seconds left. But everyone else could have. They left a lot to be desired. We don't need to get in here and rag on guys individually, but they just should have been better.
Yeah, when you only have 2 losses on the season in late February, we're not gonna harp on you for wearing pajama pants.
We would never.
Yeah, Slew's point per possession was 1.07, very low on the chart for this team.
Yep.
Turnover rate was bad, 25.4, and it could have been worse had they not got it under control in the second half. The Billikens really trailed most of this game.
36-19 out of 40 minutes. They were tied for a little bit of that. But I was hoping this would be a Santa Clara repeat, right? Where we kind of stole one in the end. And we really did have a legit shot to win it. Sharma had a good look. Robbie got the second chance, although I wish he would have just shot the first one instead of trying to play for the foul. He also could have passed it, right? Because he had a triangle, 3
defenders. He also could have shot it. He could have shot it without leaning in too.
Well, that's what I meant.
Okay. I thought you meant he should have shot instead of pump faking the first time.
Exactly. He pump faked. He should have either shot that, which would have given us more time and a chance to rebound. But he also could have passed it. He did.
No. I'm saying he could have also pump faked it. The guy goes up. He could have still shot it normal. He didn't have to lean into him.
Yeah, he leaned in. It was a good no call. It was a dumb decision on Robbie's part.
Correct.
Brown,
but also call the freaking foul. You know what I'm saying?
It would have been nice. Brown should not have been called on the rebounding foul.
No.
I think that should have been a no call because those free throws then iced it for Rhode Island at the other end. It was a total anticipation whistle from the ref. Rhodey did not have a field goal in the last 4 minutes. All of their points came from free throws, but the hardest part of the rest of the game, Zach, was just seeing Slew get outplayed, outworked, out-hustled, out everything. They never had that moment where they just turned it on. And Schertz spoke in the postgame about this habit of feeling out games, right, and then flipping a switch, and it just never happened. He wants them to be better at the start. He's hoping this game would have been that reset so they could get back to their normal way of playing, which I think they did eventually against VCU. His quote was that they've been playing with fire and they finally got burnt, Zach, pretty painfully up in the Ryan Center.
It was, the loss ended an 18-game winning streak instead of tying the program record of 19. The all-time series with Rhode Island is now 14-14. The Billikens had won the last 7 before this game. I just assumed we always got homered at the Ryan Center, or we've been bad. We hadn't lost there since 2019. But we'd only won there twice before that. Also, that arena lighting is awful.
Watching this game, it's funny because I didn't feel like it was the best. The combination of the lighting, and then you've got the FanDuel score bug, right? It was one of those.
No, it was a away game. So it was Rhode Island's.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was
because it was. I mean, the commentary was terrible.
So you had like the student announcers, you had the bad lighting. I didn't think it was the best picture. So everything about it was like watching a game from 2006. It was like this looks like the first year we joined the A10.
That starts bad. Well, that's because they haven't updated the damn arena since then.
Terrible vibes. Yeah, you're right. So unfortunately, that was our chance to start a program record 13-0 in the A10. This is the kind of loss that, it'll probably be used against us to screw us in NCAA tournament seeding, especially given the lack of headline wins. But luckily, the net impact, as we said earlier in the show, it wasn't huge. Still a quad 2 loss for now, but it really did sting in a lot of other ways, I think.
That wraps that game up. Pete, let's kick it around the A10, presented by 2 Men in a Garden.
Yes, Zach, 2 Men in a Garden. We love them. I'm out at the moment of 2 Men in a Garden. Been a little bit since I've been back to St. Louis. Got to make another order. I've got a substitute salsa in the fridge right now. It's just not cutting it. My daughter's asking about pickles. I need to re-up. And if you start buying 2 Men in a Garden stuff, I got to warn you, same thing's going to happen to you. You're gonna realize that it's the standard you just need to keep in your fridge. See what we're talking about? Go over to 2meninagarden.com. Use our code MMP at checkout for free shipping. Even if you forget it, it's not a bad deal. $9.99 nationwide in the lower 48. Get over there now. 2meninagarden.com.
Pete, did you know that the A10 is using hashtag A1050 this season?
I have noticed that, Zach.
Do you know what the police code 1050 is for?
1050. No. Although wouldn't that be different for every department?
I don't know, but it's a car crash, apparently.
A 1050.
According to a man on Reddit. So take that joke. That's that guy's joke. If it's not true, that's his joke. It's not mine. If it is true, that's my joke.
Okay. It comes up like if you just Google police code 1050, it says motor vehicle accident.
Yeah. So 1050 is a car crash.
Oh, I love the A10.
I do too. Tuesday the 17th, VCU beats George Washington 89-75. It was a close game. VCU pulls away down the stretch for their 10th straight win. Wednesday the 18th, St. Joe's 71, Bonaventure 65, Fordham 62, Loyola 59. There's been Duquesne 62, LaSalle 61. There's been a distinct lack of 6-7 in the conference play. Dayton 82, George Mason 67. This was Mason's third loss in a row after spending most of the season in the second place in the A10. Because why, Pete?
Frauds, right, Zach?
Yes, frauds. Davidson 65, Richmond 63. Pete, run us down Saturday. We know what happened on Friday.
We sure do. But on Saturday, St. Joe's beat Loyola 75-61. Fordham beat Davidson 63-59. Don't look now, but Fordham's actually playing pretty well lately. Dayton 78.
Magpio Magic.
That's
Magic
right.
Pio.
He looks like the right hire at the moment. Dayton 78, Duquesne 66. We talked about that one elsewhere. LaSalle 59, Rhode Island 46. Zach, Rhode Island 46 in their follow-up to beating the number 18 team in the country. Would you believe me if I told you Rhode Island went 2 of 18 from 3 overall? I know you know Hinton went 2 of 10.
Of course they did.
Just unbelievable. Richmond 99, St. Bonaventure 94.
Wow.
SB Unfurled called it the worst defense he's ever seen from a Mark Schmidt team, which is pretty incredible. But Zach, why don't you take us through the A10 standings as we head into the final 4 games? These are in tiebreaker order for teams with the same records.
Your commitment to our listeners is unparalleled, Pete. Thank you for doing that. The Billikens are in first place. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it. 13-1. VCU 12-3. St. Joe's, Dayton, and Mason are all sitting at 9-5 in that order. Duquesne 8-6. Davidson 7-7. Fordham 7-8. George Washington and Rhode Island both at 6-8 in that order. Richmond 5-10. LaSalle 4-10. St. Bonaventure 3-11, and then Loyola 2-13.
Yeah,
not great, Loyola. Yeah. Let's kick it over and preview Arch Baron Cup Round 2 with our good friend Drew BW, Drew Westerheide. We chatted with him again and got an update on where Dayton is as a program and as a basketball team. And I hope you enjoy it. We certainly did. Billiken fans, excited to have this guy back on. We wanted to talk to him to update us on what's been happening with the University of Dayton since Arch Baron Cup Round 1 and talk about Arch Baron Cup Round 2. It's coming up this Tuesday. It's Drew Westerheide of the Talking Out Loud podcast on and 700 WLW and ESPN 1530 radio. Drew, welcome back to the show.
Happy to be here, guys. Well, thank you for having me on your program. We had far less technical issues tonight than we did the first go around, so that's good. I decided, I've got all this state-of-the-art technology that I have at work. Why not just put it to use a little bit? So we're in studio doing this for you guys. I left my home on a Sunday night to do this with you all, so credit to me.
We appreciate you going the extra mile for us. Literally going.
You quite literally the extra mile. Yeah. Quite actually.
You have the distinct honor of being the fastest recurring guest in Excellent. Program history. So, this Joe Maimone thing, huh? What the hell's going on with that? What's up with that?
So we've talked about this off air. I kind of do my best to avoid that little corner of Dayton Twitter because, quite frankly, there are a lot of weirdos and freaks, and he would probably be a 1 seed in the weirdos and freaks on Dayton Twitter category. There's a lot of grifter allegations being thrown out. Apparently, he's got a connection to the Bishop Sycamore story, which is incredible. So the one thing, Mo Egger, my colleague here, he always talks about, be good or be interesting. I don't know if the basketball team is interesting, but the discourse around our basketball team surely does not lack in that category. I have never engaged the guy. He's tweeted at me once, I think it was after a win, and I, did my typical victory tweet, and he was like, "Oh yeah, AG for life, man." I was like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna let you go hang out in the corner there." So, there are people that have engaged with him more than I have. He's certainly a character. And he's not someone I think the administration and program is very happy to have gallivanting around. Not to name any names or sources, but from what I hear, there are some people that aren't too thrilled with what he's doing.
That is hysterical to me because him and I are diametrically opposed as far as our agenda, quote unquote. His agenda is to just completely fillet the head coach and the decision makers, and my prerogative is to ask for more at all times from those people. And I think it is just hilarious that by being a sycophant, he has put himself on the outs with the people that he is sycophantic towards.
Pretty much, yeah. It's, and again, it's not something that I've paid a whole lot of attention to, but, it's, you can't avoid it with all the people that I follow and engage with on Twitter, which isn't much, but it's, you see it happen all the time. So this dude is, I'm no fan of his. I know a lot of people aren't. So, I'm glad we opened it up with this instead of the 3-game winning streak that the Flyers are currently on.
We'll get to that less important stuff later.
Yeah,
but
right.
A little background for SLU fans or maybe people who aren't like Zach and I wasting your lives on Twitter,
which you're better off for, by the way.
For those of you who have rich, fulfilling lives,
which I'm reminded by my girlfriend every day of that fact.
There's a split in the Dayton fan base, right, about how to handle Anthony Grant. There are those who are done with him through and through, all the way through. If you remember Sully, who we've had on our show before, he's one of those people. And then there are those who are very loyally in Anthony Grant's corner. And this guy, this Joe Maimone or Maimone or however you pronounce his name, is that. And he's, I don't know, what would you call, he's about 50-ish or so. I don't
he's
know
probably in his, I'd say, late 40s, early 50s. He's what you call falling on the sword.
Sure.
He's falling on the sword. And you brought up, how it's split. It's kind of split into three areas.
Because you're more in the middle.
You have the people that absolutely want Anthony Grant drugged through the streets, drawn and quartered. I never want to see this man coach my basketball team again. Then you have, the people like Jomo who he can do no wrong. We were like the number 4 team 6 years ago. It'll never happen again, which, let's be honest, it probably won't. But, Anthony Grant deserves a lifetime contract for one good basketball season at Dayton. And then you have me in the middle where like, yes, I'm ready to make a change. I stated that on the last time I was on the show, and my position has not changed, has not wavered, despite the fact that Dayton has played some pretty good basketball in the last week and a half or so. But like, I'm still enjoying watching the team, and like, I want them to win. Like, there are people in the like Fire Anthony that I'm convinced they watch the game hoping Dayton loses, and I think that's lame as shit.
I'm guilty as charged. At very towards the very like literally the A10 tournament game. Absolutely wanted that to just be done. I wanted it over. I was done.
2 seasons ago. You're talking about
Travis 2 seasons Ford. Ago. Yes, Travis Ford. Totally lame as shit there. I'm guilty as charged.
What about that last Jim Cruz season?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
It's been a long time, and I was a different kind of person at that point in time. I was, mid-20s. So, it was different.
Anyway, so Drew,
But that's like, that's pretty much where we're at here with it, is that there's like 3 distinct camps. I'd argue that the majority of people reside where I am, in that, we still want to, like, I'll still watch every game. I want them to win every game they play. But at season's end, when we ultimately lose in the quarterfinals of the A10 tournament to like probably Davidson or George Washington or someone like that, because that's what happens every freaking year, I'm going to be ready to move on. I'm going to be ready to be like, you know what? Like, and you don't need to come out like the next day and be like, Anthony Grant is fired. Like, work with the guy. If you want him to have a graceful exit, unlike Tang had at Kansas State earlier on, or last week now.
Yeah.
You can, like, I'm sure you can work with them, and who knows if Grant even wants to coach anymore if that's the case. And if he doesn't, I'm more than happy to have him in the program still, because I still do think he brings value to a program. I just don't think in today's day and age that he's the guy that should be sitting on the first spot on the bench and coaching the team. That's just kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. So now that we know about our friend Joe and how the Dayton fan base is split and everything like that, I want to get caught up from that first Arch Baron Cup game a few weeks back. Since SLU won on January 30th, Dayton has mostly been pretty solid. You talk about the last 3 games, but you've got wins over St. Bonaventure, Davidson, George Mason, and Duquesne. There's the one loss at VCU, which was, I know, a big one. But I thought Dayton really looked more convincing in the last 2 wins, at George Mason and then Duquesne at home, than they have in a while. What do you think? Have they really taken it up a notch lately, and is this sustainable?
Well, Ami Alatong, who I pretty much dragged through the mud the last time I was on this show, has played really, really well the last 2 weeks, and that has made a huge, huge difference. He played 31 minutes against VCU, and even in that game where he got drubbed by VCU, he was 5 of 9 and had 15 points. He was arguably like one of Dayton's better players in that game. So since he's come back from that, he was a little slow coming off that knee injury. I think he's fully healthy now, and he's been playing some really, really good basketball. He played really good against George Mason, which in what was probably Dayton's best performance in the Atlantic 10 season, if I had to say. He had 21 points, and Javon Bennett really struggled there the last week of January and into the early part of February. He's starting to play a little bit better. So they're playing some good basketball. The game against George Mason was the one where I was like, all right, like, this is what it was supposed to look like. Because, and I know Mason's hurt. I know Mason's banged up, and I know they're not what they were earlier on in the season. I'm aware of that. But Dayton hadn't won in Fairfax in like 5 years or something like that. So that to cross that one off the ledger, Duquesne comes into the arena. They have been playing well. They were, that was an important game to get into the top 4, and Dayton wins it. So now you build a little bit of momentum here, and you get St. Louis coming into town, who's coming off a good emotional win, we'll call it, against VCU. A question I have for you guys is, like, are the first half starting to worry you a little bit? Because I've been making bank on, okay, St. Louis is like losing close to halftime or at halftime. I'm going to bet them here because they're plus money, and then they end up, the only time that burnt me was the Rhode Island game, which I chased like 3 separate times and got burnt for it. But is that starting to worry you at all?
Okay, so I was going to talk about this in our like review of the VCU game, but I think I think SLU, a lot of their starts, they're not necessarily slow. I think you're the 18th ranked team in the country. I think you've got teams coming in and they are from the jump ready to fucking go. Yeah. And, you know, SLU is playing as they are. They're patient. I think it's a mixture of just the other team just gets wore down by halftime. By halftime, they have the communication that's required to keep up with the depth and the randomness of the offense. It just kind of goes away as the fatigue sets in. And I think also the switching of ends where now you're defending on the other end from your basket. You don't have your coaching staff to really assist. So I think SLU is then able to exploit kind of miscommunications in other teams' defense. So I think that it's not necessarily a slow start from SLU. I think teams are coming out and they're just trying to punch SLU in the mouth physically, and they're gonna, you know, molest every shooter for, you know, as long as they can, and hope to God that SLU doesn't find shots. Yeah.
And that's pretty much like, that's kind of how I felt about like the 20 team as well. Cause we had a few games there in the middle of the A10 season where it didn't look great in the first half. The other team was on fire. They were pumped up. And then, you know, Obi Toppin was like, okay, I'm the best player in the country. I'm just going to go take this over and we're going to win the basketball game. So that makes sense. And, you know, I still, like I said on this program, I think they're the best team since the Dayton 20 team. I have not wavered on that despite, you know, some of the slow starts and the loss to Rhode Island, which Archie Miller following up him beating St. Louis with a loss to Fordham is just so perfectly Archie Miller.
It was LaSalle.
Or it was LaSalle. Sorry, I thought it was Fordham. Anyway, same difference. Same difference there. But
as a newly minted secondary LaSalle fan, shut up. I've been. You got it. You got it, man. You can be on the LaSalle. You can be a fellow explorer if you want.
Yeah, he's not going to hurt anybody.
The Gola boys have jumped me into the gang. I'm officially in.
Yeah, you're in. Good for you.
See this like they got a little. I got a little scar here.
Yeah,
from the beatdown they gave me.
But they're a hard bunch. But back to Dayton. Like I said, they're playing some pretty good basketball right now, but ultimately, at the end of the day, like it's going to come down to winning 3 or 4 games in the Atlantic 10 tournament if they want to go to the big dance. So, I think they're going to be, nobody likes to get their asses kicked. So if I had to guess, the guys are going to be ready to play. I think the arena will be, it'll be a sold out arena. I think the students will be there. It stinks that it's on a Tuesday.
Yes.
But that's neither here nor there. But so I think they're going to be ready to play. Do I think they're going to win the game? I do not. I think it'll be more competitive than the last game because pretty much all my biggest fears going into that game, which I shared on the show, happened. St. Louis couldn't miss. And there was a point there in this, like right at the beginning of the second half where Dayton had the ball. They could have gotten it to 8. They missed. And then it went like 3 turnover, basket turnover, and you look up and you're down 17, and then the avalanche comes, and it's just there's nothing you can do about it.
I during that game, there were a couple of Dayton fans that were back into my left in the Kennedy spot, and it I every time SLU would make a 3, I just kind of, and you could just see them like they would just. It was just deeper and deeper. They would get into the chair with every 3. And it was, I owe them an apology and maybe a couple beers for providing me with more entertainment than my ticket was worth. But it was a great, it was just so fun.
Hey, I'm sure you had fun. I
had fun.
It had been a while. It had been a while since you guys had done anything like that, like beating the Dayton Flyers.
True.
I completely understand. Now you gotta try and do something that you haven't done since 2014, and that's come to Dayton and win a basketball game.
What'd you think of the belt to ass video that leaked? And then, do you think was there any? You didn't. So
I did not see it.
Essentially, Josh Schertz in the locker room got egged on, I guess, by the players to take a belt out and whip a chair.
Okay.
And so I got Trey Green.
It's a lot cooler when Michael Irvin does it.
It's not. No, Cool is not the word I would use for Michael Irvin. Coked out, but not cool. But yeah, like it wasn't supposed to get out. It got out. I didn't know if there was talk on the Dayton side of like, just like, I don't know. I mean, they did get demoralized, but I mean, at least like, well, oh, these guys are really doing this. Like
my thing with that is like, you got your ass beat by 31 points. You shouldn't need a belt video to come out to be ready to play them when they come to town. Like that's if I was the head coach of the team and like I heard my players talking about that, I would get mad because I'd be like, you guys could have just played better and not get beat by 31 points. And when they come again, if that's what it takes to motivate you, fine. But I would think losing by 30, getting embarrassed in a cable TV spot would be motivation enough. But who kids these days, I guess. But no, I did not see the video. And if it does come out that's if Dayton wins on Tuesday and Javon Bennett's in the post game press conference and Javon, what you guys really came to play tonight? What motivates you? Oh, it was Shirts doing the belt to ass video when we got beat. I'd be like, all right, whatever. But
I mean, SLU has definitely used a few things like that this season as motivation. Sure. Like we've heard stories. Who was it before Zach? Who was like there was a player on an opposing team who made a quote they took issue with, and I can't remember.
Was the quote actually said, or was this some Michael Jordan stuff where they just made it up in their head?
No, it was actually said. I think it was somebody who was just kind of a little. Dayton. I think it was Dayton actually.
Yeah, he just said we're not worried about him. I think we'll come out and win or something like that.
Yeah, it was the first Dayton game. I think it was Bennett actually.
Bennett, okay.
It was Bennett, or was it Montgomery?
I was gonna say that sounds like some shit Montgomery would say because he's kind of stupid.
That's interesting. I feel like he's not a fan favorite by any means. Like for a guy who's like your second leading scorer and a pretty good player, it seems like people take issue with him.
He hasn't really endeared himself to the fan base. We'll say that. He was calling people out on Twitter after like the third game.
Oh, he was Dahlgering? He was Tim Dahlgering? Okay.
Yeah, he was going full Kevin Durant. He's like, all right. Like, it was one of those, like, I think it was when who did Dayton? I forget what game it was, but they had lost. It was the UC game. So, yeah, it was the third game of the year. And, we're upset because we lost to Cincinnati in a game that, like, they could have won if they just shoot the ball decently well. And he was like, all right, well, he did the whole, like, if you're not with us now, then don't be with us when, we go dancing. I'm like, okay, buddy, like, go dancing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Go do it.
Oh, God.
So, and well, the funny thing was is that the next, like, 5 games he played awesome. And I was like, all right, maybe he's just, like, needs to, motherfuck some people on Twitter to get him going. And, like, I think I have a tweet out there. It's like, if sending mean tweets is what it's going to take, like, I'm here. You can direct all your mean tweets to me. I would much rather receive mean tweets from Deshane Montgomery if he would go out and score 22 points a game. Yeah. I'd do it. I'm willing. I am willing to do those things.
Yeah, that's very noble of you.
Back to like, and he really hasn't. And I would be stunned. Anthony Grant being back next year or not, I would be kind of surprised if he is back at UD next year.
Yeah.
And just my thing with him is that when he isn't like engaged early, he is a zero on the court. He doesn't like make people better. He doesn't really move the ball. He's not he can get steals, but steals does not mean you're a good defender. And he is an awful defender. He got beat backdoor twice in the Duquesne game that were like stuff you learn in like middle school.
Yeah.
To stop. And so those are, and I'm a stickler for, I grew up playing and my dad was a coach. So like, I'm a stickler for like play the game the right way. And he very much is a product of like kids these days that just want to go out and shoot step back threes and like not play any defense, but try and get a steal. He's a good player. He's really athletic. And when he's on, he's on. He's really, really good. But as far as of if I was like, okay, I've got 4 guys that I want to bring back next year, I don't think he would crack that list.
Yeah.
We got that in a DM. If you're not with us now, from a player.
If you're not with us now, then that's what they say. And
it was in Ford's last year. It was in Ford's last year, which was even funnier.
And honestly, when you receive something like that, that's when I'm like, uh-oh. Like, because if this team is confident in themselves, they wouldn't need to engage with strangers on the internet to be well, don't be like, dog, I've been watching this team since I was 6 years old. Like, I was here before you, and I'll be here after you. Like, what you say does not matter to me. Go out and perform. And you know what? Like, I was like, and this is the whole thing with the NIL era. Like, you're getting paid, man. So I can criticize you. I have the right to criticize you. This is not like these are just kids anymore. Like, you're making 6 figures at least, maybe 7. I doubt he's making 7, but like you're open to criticism in my eyes if you're making that kind of money and you're not holding up your end of the bargain.
I think that's the bummer about NIL though, is like that we don't know because then I think it does keep them a little bit guarded from. You can't be like, this guy's making 7 figures. Like you score the basket, you can be like. Somebody can just be like, oh, he's probably making like 50, and you're like, okay,
right, yeah, it's not a confirmed number, but at the end of the day, man, like you're still getting paid more than me, who's working in a normal full-time job, and you get to just go to school and play basketball, and if you decide that Dayton's not where you want to be next year, you can just jump town and go to whatever school offers you the same or if not more money. And so, I think ultimately at the end of the day, and I don't think it'll be in the next year or anything, but you're going to start seeing contracts.
Yeah.
And 2 or 3 year commitments with like buyouts if you want out. And I think that's what all this is heading towards. So.
I hope so. Honestly, I would love more transparency and accountability. I think actually a transfer fee system isn't a bad idea either. Something like the European. I forget who I was
talking. I'm sure buying and selling people will be
I forgot who I was talking to about this though, and they brought up like the English or just the soccer world in general, and how they do it. And, if you want to offer, you can offer them something, but, if you want this guy, you have to pay us, $750,000.
What are academies?
It's right. And it's easier to say in practice than it is in, to actually implement the system for college sports, because there's a whole laundry list that would take an entire 2-hour podcast to get into. But it is interesting how these the 4-year player I fear is dying. Like those players that are yours and yours alone. Like Deron Holmes was a 3-year guy at Dayton, and they got him just in time before the NIL stuff really took off. Like if NIL was a thing, Deron Holmes does not go to Dayton. It doesn't happen, and he stays all 3 years. Like Jayon Simon is probably going to be one of the last 4-year Dayton guys we ever have. And that stinks because I look back at players like Scoochie Smith and Kyle Davis and Kendall Pollard who played 4 years, and fan bases like you and fan bases like VCU and Davidson and all these people are like, when is Scoochie Smith going to fucking graduate?
Yeah.
When is this guy going to be fucking gone? Because he played from the time he was a freshman to the time he was a senior. And I miss that about college. I'm glad these guys are getting paid. Don't get me wrong. They deserve to be paid because they bring a lot of revenue to these schools, but I just wish the implementation went a little bit better.
Are you feeling nostalgic?
I'll get off my soapbox.
No, are you feeling nostalgic for Gibson Jimerson all of a sudden?
Hey, respect. Truly, I a real one recognizes a real one, and he was a son of a bitch to watch, but man, respect where it's due. That kid could hoop.
What's going on? We talked about the fan base splintering. The student section, man. There's some drama.
Oh God.
There's some drama.
Let's roll the sleeves up for this one. So I believe it was the.
I'll sit back.
What game? What game was that?
Let him cook.
That would have been. I believe it was the St. Bonaventure game. 4 or 5 students, or 6. It was fire. Yeah, 5. My math is right. 6 students show up in the student section with fire AG on their shirts, each one letter, and security goes and makes them change. And obviously this is going to get out with the world that we live in, because you see any kind of commotion anywhere, phones go up and they start recording. So the entire thing gets recorded that these kids are forced to change, and then it comes out from people who are at the arena they made them change. It's okay, whatever. And then the Red Scare which is the student run, organization, sends out the email of like, we need to provide a positive atmosphere. I'm paraphrasing their email here, but more or less like, don't boo Anthony Grant when he gets announced. Don't wear Fire AG stuff. Don't wear paper bags or anything like that. My thing with this is, if you just let these 19 and 20-year-old kids just do what they do and just let them wear that stuff, and you just kind of like, and you start to win, if you just win basketball games, this probably just goes away. But instead, you make them change out of the shirt. And then you send like the shirts. I see both sides. The email they sent out is the one where I'm like, that is dumb, because you have to know when you send this email out, this is going to get out. This is going to be screenshotted and shared on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Reddit, social media platform of your choosing. This email is going to be made public, and you're going to get dragged for it because your fan base's morale is pretty damn low. So, yeah, it's been like I said at the top of the interview, they're pretty interesting. Everything surrounding the team is pretty interesting. If I was a Salou or a VCU fan, or any fan of the A10, in the A10, and I saw all this shit going down, I would sit back, like I wouldn't get off my phone. I would watch it, from afar and make fun of it and all that. People who do that help all the, I have people like tweet at me, these random strangers who I've never interacted with, and I just click on their profile and I see, St. Joe's, just as an example. And they'll tweet at me. I'm like, I don't know, man. I just kind of throw my hands up and just, yeah, man, I don't know. Like, I don't really have a good answer for you. I'm not gonna reply to your tweet. I'm just gonna move on with my merry day. But it's just one of those things that, Dayton basketball is rarely boring.
Yeah, they have provided us a lot of non-basketball entertainment this season.
I think it's impressive that there are still students there that are like in Ford's last year. There weren't enough students to spell out Fire Ford in shirts.
Yeah, right. That's the difference. Is like, if it happens at SLU, they're just not there.
Yeah.
And although I will say, like, I have seen some photos lately of them either sitting during a game, or like those back however many 10 rows or whatever have been empty.
That Bonaventure game was the fewest students I think I've seen for a home game. And granted, it was in the middle of the week and it was like 8 degrees outside, but that's the fewest students I've seen at a game where all the students are on campus. Now, boots on the ground, I wasn't at the game on Saturday. I think it was pretty packed, but it's a Saturday afternoon home game. Dayton doesn't get a lot of those, because they get put in the Friday night time slot a lot because, they're one of the biggest brands in the conference.
It's a cross you bear. It's a cross you bear.
It is. And I enjoy the Friday night games. I enjoy going to the arena on a Friday night. I think they're fun, but at the same time, like there was nothing, especially when I was in school, and I think it was before that contract like really took hold. Like those Saturday afternoon 2:00 tip games, like those were the best. You get up at 9 or 10 o'clock, start, go out, go to a bar or go to a buddy's house. If it's a nice day, you make the trek across the bridge. You go to the game tips at 2:00. It's over at 4:15, and then you go back and you have yourself a night. Like, and more times than not, when I was in school, Dayton was winning the basketball game on that Saturday night. So, those were so much fun, and so I think that may have played a part. I'm sure there will be a lot of students there on Tuesday because it is St. Louis. They are ranked. It's Arch Baron Cup 2, get the gats out type stuff.
Yeah.
But you lose that game, and then all of a sudden, you go to George Washington, to Richmond, and then you have your last home game against VCU. So you probably have a pretty decent turnout for that one too. But at the end of the day, I do think student sentiment is very, very low. Now, I don't have as many connections to the students as I used to. A lot of my sources have aged out. But yeah, it's not a pretty picture. And if I was betting now, if you ask me right now, I do think I'm going to say that I don't think Anthony Grant is going to be the coach next year.
Wow.
I really don't. And a lot of people have said it, in years past, but they've had some things they could fall back on. There's something about this that feels different. So I think the administration knows it, and the hiring of John Paxson before the season as a special advisor to the basketball program, that's not nothing. And like Paxson didn't hire this guy, so and I think Paxson's got some sway in that building. So at the end of the day, I think I'm saying now on February 22nd at 8:33 p.m. Eastern, I do not think Anthony Grant is going to be the coach next year.
Do you have a sense of what his contract situation is? I know, private schools, we just don't have that transparency, but just curious.
So I know he got I think it was a 5-year extension after 2020. So, and I think he had 2 years left on his deal to that point. So let's see, so I think next year would be the last year of his contract, barring him getting any more extensions. Now, what I don't know, and I don't have the sources for this, is if he got like a year or two added after winning the tournament game against Nevada. And I have a feeling he might have. But if he didn't, then I think you're looking at a year, maybe 2 left. If he didn't get, I know for a fact he got that 5-year extension after the 2020 season. But anything after that, I am unsure. And my guess is that I don't think the buyout is anything crazy. I think it's something that if Dayton got their boosters, to pay, I think it could be paid. And again, if he doesn't want to coach anywhere else, you can make him an advisor, and you could probably pay out the rest of his contract that way, and then kind of go from there. Now, does that affect how much money you're going to be willing to spend to bring in a new coach? Or, how serious are you about winning? Because our administration told us our goal is to win A-10 championships and make the NCAA tournament. We haven't won an A-10 championship tournament in 23 years. We've been to the tournament twice in 9. So, that's where a lot of the disconnect is, because the administration stated the goal, and then by not reaching those goals, we're not making any changes. That is why Dayton people especially, are very, very upset.
Yeah. You guys, are you all healthy now? Do you expect anyone on the injury report?
I do. On Tuesday? I think we're about as healthy as we've been all year. Dirk missed quite a bit of time, more time than I thought he was going to for that ankle injury. But just looking at the box score from the last game, it's all the names that, it's all the names there. And a lot of guys played, more than, so Dayton's they've pretty much shaved it down to a 7-man rotation. You've got your starting 5 now, which is Latong, Bennett, Jones, Montgomery, and Jayon Simon, who's having a very good year. He's not going to score 24 points. He's not going to blow you away with his skill, but he's a role player. He plays well in his role. And then you have Dirk and Bryce Hurd coming off the bench, and then Malcolm Thomas and Connor Jacob will give you, they played 4 and 3 minutes respectively in the game against Duquesne. So I think everyone's healthy. I think everyone's going to be ready to roll for Tuesday. Nobody got hurt in that Duquesne game as far as I know. So unless somebody picks something up in practice or is sick, they're going to have everybody. So, and I think they had everybody against St. Louis. Maybe we're missing one guy or two. Let's see here. I'm looking at that box score. They didn't have,
was terrible.
Yeah, well, and I think that was the second game that Latang had been back from injury. That was Dirk Hack's first game back from injury. I
want to see a white boy off between him and Brady for at least like 5 minutes. I want to see them go back to I want to see them go cold ass white boy, both of them, for about 5 minutes.
I wouldn't call Dirk Hack cold ass white boy. He's more rugged white boy. He's gonna go in there, grab some boards, probably shoot 12 free throws.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's a free throw merchant.
He 1000%. I did see a graphic. I think it was in the last game that he is like third in his percentage of points that come from the free throw line is like third in the country.
Yeah,
he pretty much scores stickbacks, free throws, and then he makes the occasional 3.
Yeah, for SLU fans who remember Miles Reynolds, that was like he just knew how to go to the rim and get fouled. He transferred a couple places after SLU and finished at Oklahoma, but that was his bread and butter.
He played 13 minutes in the first meeting and got to the line 0 times.
Yeah, and again, he was coming back from that was the
Right.
first game back after
Right.
his ankle injury. So he's looked much more spry in the last month, and just looking like Dayton as a team, they take the 14th most attempts in the country.
Yep.
They take 26 free throws a game. They make 19 of them. They're 75th in the country in free throw percentage. But when you shoot, 75% at a 26 free throw a game clip, like that's pretty good. Now, the rest of their statistics, they are like in the hundreds or 200s, except for turnovers forced and margin, which is another thing. I don't think they forced turnovers when they played St. Louis, but they didn't lead to anything. Like they didn't have that big stretch where they scored a ton of points off those turnovers. If I'm remembering it right, I've tried to block that game out of my brain a lot.
So those are the things that I was nervous about coming into the first game. Is that's SLU for the season still has we're on the wrong side of that turnover margin stat. It's just not, we don't force a lot of turnovers, and we tend to turn it over a little bit more than we force the other team to. And then we tend to be the team that fouls more, no matter what, whether we think we deserve to or not, whether we're played, a lot of times the other team just plays more physically than we do. But we are always on the wrong side of the foul ledger, free throw attempts, everything. And by quite a bit actually in this last game against VCU. So those are two things, especially in UD Arena, that I expect to be struggles for us. Yeah. So I hope things like the shooting is there. I hope that we're not giving up offensive rebounds, some of the other things that could be a problem.
Yeah. And looking back at the box score, Dayton lost the turnover margin in that game 15-13. They only had 11 points off of those turnovers, and they only took 16 free throws. So those are the three areas where Dayton has when they've played well, they've dominated in the turnover margin, and they've gotten to the line a ton. And they didn't do that. And SLU took more free throws than they did. And then let's not forget, St. Louis went 17 of 28 from three in one of the, I truly just had to tip my hat to you guys, because especially Green. Green was unconscious that game. He went 7 of 10. And then was it Sharma? Is that the kid's name? Sharma.
Yeah.
He went 6 of 8. Between those two alone, they were 13 of 18. And on the Dayton side of it, they shot, not terrible from 3, 7 of 20, but which, who knows what kind of 3-point shooting team you're going to get from Dayton on a night in, night out basis. But if Dayton wants to win the game, I think they got to force at least probably 20 turnovers. They probably got to score at least 22 points off of those turnovers, and they got to get a home whistle and get to the free throw line a lot, and hope they don't shoot 17 of 28 from 3 again.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the free throws attempted, and I find it interesting that a lot of these are home games, that they're up in the 30s and 40s.
We get a home whistle, man. Are you just figuring this out?
No, we are not.
No.
We're well aware.
It's just, I'm just the only Dayton fan that's man enough to admit it.
I appreciate that, man.
I've been watching it. Percent get a home whistle a lot of the time. Now,
I go to this game every year, and I just can't
officials are
get
just
over
bad. A lot of times, I do think officials are just bad. We've had bad officials at UD Arena before, many, many times. But I'm well aware that Dayton gets a little bit of home. Oh shoot, what game was it? There was a game earlier on in the year. They got a lot of home cooking that they snuck out of it. What game was that? Let me look at the schedule. I'll know it when I see it. I'll know.
No, it was a loss.
No,
Bonaventure.
No, it wasn't It was early. It was an early home game. It wasn't Fordham. It wasn't George Washington.
I find it interesting that Brigham Young, BYU, only 14. That's your lowest free throw attempts. I don't want to get conspiratorial or anything, but Well,
we were playing AJ DeBonsta in that. I don't care how good of a whistle. We were playing the number 2 pick in the draft, and Richie Saunders was the best player in that game, and he no longer has an ACL. And this is the maddening thing about this Dayton team, is that I watched them play those games in the A-10 where they get smoked by 30 against St. Louis, get killed by VCU, lose to LaSalle, and I look back and I go, we were on the brink of beating BYU. We had them. We had them. And it's BYU made a couple more shots than they did down the stretch, but that game, I was like, man, that game gave me more hope for the season than any win did. I was like, man, if this is how it's going to be, like, if we're going to play like that, we're going to be like, it's going to be us and Salou 1-2, and that is certainly not the case.
DeBonso was using his Vin Diesel voice. You had me. You had me. You never had me.
Doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's
That's
winning.
right.
I get it. I know the quote.
So yeah, the Billikens haven't won at UD Arena since 2014. You believe that's going to change on Tuesday?
Unfortunately, I do. I just think they present a lot of matchup problems for Dayton. I do think this game is going to be far more competitive than the last one. A, because it's at home. B, because these players are competitive, and no one wants to get their tails handed to them twice by the same team. And the old adage, it's hard to beat a team twice, especially in a rivalry game. You got to throw the record books out the window. I'm going to throw every cliche I can at you here. But ultimately, I do think St. Louis wins the basketball game. I'm going to say they win by 6, which is
I'll take it.
Close. Like, I don't know what the number is going to be. I'm very intrigued to see what the number is going to be, because it would not shock me if it was like 7.5, 8.5, like it was that first game. But are the odds makers going to give Dayton a little bit more of a bump because they're playing at home and they're on a 3-game winning streak? So I could see the line being anywhere from about 5.5 to 8.5. If that number is above 6.5, I think there's some value in taking Dayton at home. Dayton is a home dog very, very rarely. So anytime, from a gambler's perspective, you can get Dayton, you can get points at home with Dayton. I think it's a pretty good bet. So I do think St. Louis wins the game though, and Dayton is going to be scratching and clawing, trying to get to that 4th seed. So we'll see what happens, but and hope I'm wrong. Hope will make you guys wait another year before getting a victory on in the crib. But the rationale in me says St. Louis wins.
Do you think they hang on the rest of the way to a top 4 seed?
It's just so hard because it's so muddled. Let me pull up the standings real quick here.
You're in a 3-way tie right now.
Yeah, we're in a 3-way tie at 9-5, and Duquesne's right there at 8-6. Now, the tiebreakers are what's weird because Dayton beat George Mason, but St. Joe's beat Dayton, and I don't know what the results have been between Mason and St. Joe's, but so like you lose that
scientific.
One. Yeah, and so you lose that game against you lose against St. Louis. Then you play Richmond on the road, which is never a walk in the park, and then you play VCU at home. So it's three of your, and you go to George Washington, which I think they should win that game, but that place has been a house of horrors for Dayton as well in the past. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. If they win Tuesday, I feel pretty good about them kind of carrying the momentum through the next 2 games, and then we'll see what happens when VCU comes to town. But if they win Tuesday, I think they're going to be playing with a lot of confidence and moving forward. And if they play like they did against George Mason, I don't know if it'll be enough to win the game, but I do think it'll be extremely competitive.
Yeah.
Drew, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me again.
When we had you on the first time, I was like, we got to have him on again. He gets
Appreciate
it. He's
that.
funny. He's engaging and not a shitty UD fan. Now he's one of the good ones. Remind our listeners.
Count them on one hand, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Remind our listeners where they can find your work and follow you on social media.
Well, you can follow me on Twitter at DrewBW. That's DrewByW. The Talking Out Loud podcast, as I said on the last time, has kind of been dormant this year due to lack of engagement and lack of help on my part. I'm a one-man show for that. I'm also on ESPN 1530 every once in a while here in Kenwood, so and 700 WLW. So if you follow me on Twitter, I always tweet out when I'm going to be behind the microphone on ESPN 1530. So if you're so inclined, go ahead and give it a listen.
Drew, it's been awesome. Good talking to you. Hopefully we'll talk later. Maybe an A10 final. We'll be talking about.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. That's I believe that's going to happen. Yeah, it'll be you and probably like Duquesne or something like that because they beat Dayton in the quarterfinals. But
it's always the 6th seed, right?
Yes,
there's something about the
it's
6th seed.
the 6th seed. It's either the 6th seed or the 1 seed every year.
Yeah.
Yep. So there you go. Maybe Dayton should lose their next 3 of their next 4 and get to that 6th spot. Maybe that's the
it's the what's like the second. I don't know why that is. I think it's like one of the teams that doesn't get included in the VCU Dayton.
Well,
I don't know.
You always the 6th seed always gets the 3, which is more times than not that overachieving middle of the pack team that isn't VCU, Dayton, or St. Louis, and that team almost loses almost every single time. Like last year was Loyola Chicago, I think.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's the 3 seed. That's the week.
All right, gentlemen.
Thanks, Drew.
Appreciate it.
See ya. Thank you again to Drew Westerheide, one of our favorite new friends in A10 Twitter. As we've gotten to know him, he's a genuinely good dude. I think. Go check out his stuff. Pete, why don't you walk us down what's happened with Duquesne since we last saw them?
Yeah, so Duquesne's been pretty interesting, Zach. They had a 5-game winning streak snapped at Dayton this weekend, as we talked about with Drew. Terrence Ginyard and Jimmy Williams have been doing what they've done all season, basically scoring about 16 points a game each. But David Dixon has really stepped it up lately. He has been in foul trouble in every game since January 13th. He has 4 fouls in each of the past 5 games. He fouled out in the one before that and was getting 3 or 4 fouls per game leading up to that. So definitely that's something that you could possibly exploit. Nachas, the other big, has also struggled with foul trouble lately. Those two, last time we played, grabbed 9 offensive rebounds in Pittsburgh last month. Duquesne had 17 as a team. We're coming off a game where we just gave up 18, so that's a big one. SLU absolutely must take care of the defensive glass. I think it's honestly the single biggest factor in this game. They also can't let both Williams and Ginyard get going. Williams had 28 against SLU last time. He was 4 of 7 from 3. He had some backbreakers. Ginyard was just below average with 14, but you can't let them combine for 42 again. If you look at what SLU did with Hill and Tracy from VCU, we know they're capable of shutting down multiple scoring guards. Jennings had that good game for VCU, but I'll take my chances with the 3rd and 4th and 5th guys from Duquesne if it means putting those top 2, like really putting the clamps on them, right? So when you look at their winning streak and what went right, it wasn't getting hot from outside or grabbing a bunch of offensive boards. It was their scoring at the rim. Over 50% from 2 in all of those games, except the Rhode Island game, which is the only one where they actually did kind of go off from 3. They were also forcing a ton of turnovers in that stretch. 7 or more steals per game in those 5 led to an average of over 15 turnovers per game for their opponents. In that loss at Dayton, they shot 35.3% from 2 and forced just 7 turnovers. And as it happens at Dayton, they got called for 4 more fouls. So a lot of the things they had been doing well flipped there. The one X factor here, the guy I haven't mentioned yet, is John Hewley. He really hasn't done anything lately. I don't know if he's just mailing it in and trying to stay healthy for whatever he does next. He was suspended earlier this season for violating team rules, but he's played more minutes in the last 2 games when the other bigs have gotten in foul trouble. If he finally decides to show up and play, that actually makes this one of the deepest, best front courts in the A10. So let's just kind of hope he's quiet quitting and isn't a factor here. But regardless, Duquesne is going to be as physical as possible with SLU. We saw it in Pittsburgh in the first matchup. We've been seeing it from every opponent against us since then. If SLU is able to handle that physicality, makes life difficult for Williams and Ginyard, draws fouls on the big men, protects the ball, and most importantly, keeps them off the offensive glass, I think they'll run away with this game. But if one or more of those areas is a problem, and they very well could be, this will be tighter than it needs to be. I also like the fact that not only is it at home, it's a second matchup. SLU took a while to get going in both other second meetings so far, LaSalle and VCU, but those second halves were both outstanding. So second meeting, second half, pretty lethal territory for this team, I think. I'm going to say Bills by 14, Zach, if I've got to predict it. This game.
Yeah, we need to win.
By any amount is fine.
Let's kick it around, or actually, you know what? Pete, I don't think it's exaggeration to say that the women's basketball season is all but lost here. Eighth straight loss, a 65-54 L against St. Joe's on senior day. Saturday the 21st, senior day for Alexia Nelson, Belle Tillett, please, Zaya Nugent, Ellie Pelusic. They all were honored. They had highlight videos, letters from their parents and grandparents read over them. A really nice touch. Pete, run us. I can't with this team. I don't care anymore.
Yeah, it's only going to take a minute, Zach. There's not a whole lot to say here. It was actually a tight game at half. SLU was only down by 26-25 defensive battle, but the wheels just completely came off in the third quarter when St. Joe's outscored them 22-6. SLU actually finished on an 11-1 run to make it a respectable 11-point loss. It was pretty much blowout city before that. Alyssa Kirkenmeyer had another double-double with 14 and 12. She's very good. Zaya Nugent had 14 too. She also had 8 rebounds. Pelusic, by the way, came in for under a minute, hit her only 3-point attempt, and came back out. Her shot has looked so good whenever she appears in a game. I'm kind of not sure why she didn't play more this season. And I swear, go ahead.
Well, no, you finish and then I'll talk because I interrupt.
I was just going to say, people made this point on Billikens.com later, but I swear I had it in the notes before they started saying it. I just really think her 3-point shot, like when it goes in, it's one of those shots that there's no doubt. It just like sails through the net. Anyway, I know she's a walk-on. I know she's limited in other ways, but
I think the book, when it's written on Rebecca Tillett as a head basketball coach, I believe her undoing will be her stubbornness and unwilling to make adjustments to her with her roster and playing time. I believe, it's there's a lot of I don't believe the culture that she was brought in to build really ever existed. I think she's done a lot of weird things with her roster, including sitting her best players on multiple occasions. So that's really going to be, I think, the book that will be written on her. The final week of the regular season, it'll be Duquesne Wednesday, the 25th at home. Dukes are awful, 10-17, 3-13 in conference. If Billikens can't break this losing streak against them, they might not win again. Davidson, Saturday the 28th, they'll head to North Carolina. Seems like a long way to travel, but what are you going to do? Davidson's 10-6 in the A10. They're looking for that double bye. This could be ugly. Whatever. Speaking of not optimistic, it was a tough weekend all the way around for the Diamond Billikens. Pete, give us a quick rundown of baseball, and then I'll hit softball.
Yeah, they started out with an 11-3 loss down at SEMO on Tuesday the 17th. Matt Deutsch and Max McGuire hit solo shots, and Joey Canzioni walked in through SLU's third run, but it was a tough day on the mound for the Bills pitching staff. Liam McKinney took the loss, but he was better than the next 3 guys after him. 7-4 was the first loss down at North Alabama on Friday the 20th. Hank Gombrich hit a 2-run homer and SLU led 4-3 late, but UNA scored 4 in the bottom of the 8th for the win. 12-2 was the loss on Saturday. SLU scored first, but it was almost all Lions after that, with UNA hitting 3 home runs and putting a few big innings together. 8-6 today was the loss, Sunday the 22nd. The Bats showed a little more life in this one, but not quite enough. SLU led 3-1 heading into the bottom of the 4th when UNA exploded for 7 runs. Next up, Zach, they've got SIUE at SIUE on Tuesday the 24th. Then they'll go to Southern Indiana in Evansville for that Wednesday, and then a weekend series at home, their home opener against Bellarmine at the end of the month. Softball also had a tough week, though, Zach.
Yeah, they did. By the way, I kept seeing Lions on the score update, and I could not for the life of me remember who else was in the Lions other than Lindenwood.
Yeah.
Softball went winless at the Michelle Short and Adam Brown tournament, Central Arkansas. games were pretty close. 5-2 loss on Friday the 20th to Southeastern Louisiana. 3-0 loss against Central Arkansas on Friday the 20th. The Sugar Bears. 4-2 loss against SELA on Saturday the 21st. And then the 3-2 loss against UCA. Saturday the 21st. And then a 12-11 loss against Evansville on Sunday the 2nd. Just a real tough start for the season. Next up, they'll head to the Colonel Classic in Eastern Kentucky this weekend. I got very close to saying that phonetically.
The Colonel.
Please next time put it as KERNEL. Thank you. Swimming and diving, Pete. They dove and swam.
They were at their season is over. They were at the A10 Championships in Hampton, Virginia, which ran Wednesday through Saturday. On day one, the men's 800 relay team of Logan Townsend, Kyle Algram, Tyler Williams, and Daniel Jekoff won bronze. It was SLU's first relay medal since 2019. On day three, Bray Sanchez won silver in the men's 100-meter breaststroke. SLU's first individual conference medal since 2022 and first silver since 2019. SLU also broke 3 program records that day. Hannah Whitney swam 102.93 in the women's 100-meter breaststroke, and the men's 400 medley relay swam 3:14.56 with Sanchez's breaststroke split of 53.53, setting a new school mark. Kyle Algram then set a new school record in the 1650 on day 4 with a time of 15:30.46. In the end, the men finished 6th of 7 teams, and the women finished 10th of 10. So still at the bottom of the league, but they made a little bit of progress, I would say, from previous years, Zach. Track and field was at the ISU Open in Terre Haute.
Yeah, they were. By the way, shout out swimming and diving. I feel like they did well. Track and field, ISU Open in Terre Haute. Tristan Boatman got a school record in the weight throw with a distance of 19.1 meters, breaking Justin Quas's mark that stood since 2011. Before I graduated, Pete, I don't even know who that guy is. I've never heard that name. That's weird. SLU had several PRs in the meet. Emily Morden, Tegan Bishop, Parker Allen in the mile, Kate Hartley and Nora Kiley in the 60-meter hurdles, Jaden Quadio in the high jump. I haven't heard that name in a while. Libby Williams in the weight throw. Next up, they'll head to the A10 Championships in Hampton, Virginia. Pete, oh my God. There's so
bit of tennis. Yeah. So the men, they dropped decisions at Creighton, Omaha, and Drake. Drake head coach Justin Stuckey's squad shut out his former program, but they did register points at Creighton and Omaha before that. And then they won against Chicago State 4-2, also on Saturday in Des Moines after Drake. They lost in doubles play, but Declan Townsend, Adrian Ducruet, I don't know how to say his name yet, sorry, Riki Koshimizu and Valentin Vasquez all won in singles to give SLU the victory. Next up on Friday the 6th of March, they'll be at Southern Indiana, Saturday against Austin P in Nashville, and then Sunday at Tennessee Tech. So they'll have a little bit of time off before that. And then women's tennis, Zach, 4-2 win over Chicago State in Des Moines, same day as the men. Fiorella Duran and Aaron Walker won in both singles and doubles play. Madison Hill also got a singles win for the Billikens. And then they also, like the men, were swept at Drake, which drops them to 2-3 on the season. They actually are in action this weekend when the men are off. They'll play at SIUE on the 27th, and then the 28th, they'll take on Missouri State out at Mac West. Zach, spring sports are in full swing, but we're still going to be talking mostly basketball on this show for a little bit.
Yeah, SIUE's got a nice little tennis facility there. Yeah, roll damn Bills, Pete.
Roll Bills.